Domo. Yeah, I figured before I start playing the game, I'd show off the new point redeem. As you can see, it's a bit different. So, Domo, Miss Seneca. Domo, Mr. Bloodblade. Domo, Baby Hellhound. Welcome, everybody. Don't worry, she'll be back. I'm just showing off the new point redeem. It's me. I'm using my kitsune magic to turn into a man. Yeah, so this comes with a lot of features. Let me just zoom in here. You can see. Yeah, so basically what I did was I bought two things. One, I bought the model, and then I bought this box set thing. But the colors, I had to do all myself. Like, the hair, I had to do light meshing to get the color I want. And then with the ears and tail, I had to mess with that in Photoshop and then, like, edit every individual frame. It was crazy. I also had to mess with the mouth a little bit, so it moved a bit more smoothly. It's got all kinds of cool features. And some of the point redeems are compatible with it. Like, Taffy will still show up. It's like, you could take off my headphones. I've got a cool little gamer controller. Beep boop bop boop beep boop bop. Do a smash or pass on Pokemon Z. One of these days. Was it pre-made? This is a pre-made, yeah. It's like I put the credits all in my About Me tab. Yes, I am good. But I still got, like, blushy. I can do empty eye, like... I still have my sparkle eyes, so yeah, shiny! I can cry. Meh. Among other things. If you could smash one Pokemon, what would it be? I don't know. Maybe Gallade? Or Gardevoir? I know, that's pretty vanilla. Yeah, I probably should do a Smash or Pass one of these days. I don't know. I'll figure it out. It's got a lot of different things that I was like, I don't know how to map it. It's like, this is what the headphones look like with the little ears on them, but I was like, I want to take it one step further, so that's why I did it with the ears and tail instead. I also got a little soda. A little cola. Got Lot Bunny? Yeah, that's a good choice. You were taking Smash with a mallet. Yeah, no. Let's see, what else is there? There was so much. Think I could do hard eyes. Swirly. Light up. And then have a shadow, like, oh. Yeah, unfortunately, the bird one's not compatible with this model. But what I could do now is switch back. I'm done showing off. Yes, boy smell, exactly. It's like, oh, the good... It's like, mix it up. I gotta log you in. Come on. Alright, let's see. And here's where the magic happens. You just pick the wackiest beepy, and then I go back. Yep, exactly. Yeah, now I'm back. Yay! Yes, I'll check my posture, and I'll also do the birds for you since... There you go. Alright, we'll switch to the game now. Let me just get that up. Yeah, so that should be fun to mess around with. Let's see, where are you? There you are. Yeah, so I think basically how this game works is that there's like 3 different endings or something. But yeah, now it's Yuri time. All grills. Domo Honeymoon, welcome! How you doing? Get started. You're running through a forest. It is late at night and the sky is black as pitch. You could have just said pitch black. There's nothing to light your way save for the moon's silky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. The trees which surround you, jutting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. You cannot see where you're going. If you had commenced your flight at a more sensible hour, however, with the light with the sun to aid you, it would be of little use. You do not know where you are going. You have no map, no route, no plan. You are fucking lost! You are running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy with no destination in mind. You have no desire as you run, save to escape. You cannot let yourself be caught. If that were to happen, you are certain you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, to keep going on and on and on, though your feet are screaming at you for mercy. Is this lost? Yeah, right. You have no idea how long you've been running. Time has begun to blend together. It has lost all meaning. Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what happened. I just realized I did not give Miss Seneca a shout out. Oopsie. There we go. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound splitting through the forest, and you stumble forwards with a shocked gasp. You are free, but at what cost? Your skirt has been irrecoverably damaged. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though. If you do not start running again, and soon, she will catch you. Yes, you're welcome. Like, hope you're having fun with that game. It looked interesting. Then your life will be over. You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to see her silhouetted beneath a tree, look at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerves you possess. Your legs would lock up and your blood would freeze in your veins. Then you would crumple. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Did she not promise when you made that contract that you would never be alone? Well, that's your first mistake. You made a contract. The story seems interesting. A few things seem like they might become frustrating quickly, though. Ah, I see. Yeah, I never even heard of it, so I was like, I don't know. You'd like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it's too late for that. It's too late for a lot of things. All you could do is run. You can't catch me, gay thoughts. You run and run and run while icy fog swirls about your feet. It's cold enough to sap the heat from your body and you shudder from it. You told me about it? I must have forgotten then. But we both passed on it? Ah. I guess we did. That's why I forgot. If it's not on the list, it doesn't exist. Like, run. It feels as though you're drowning. It feels as though you're being buried alive. Your knees and your shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. You cannot endure much more of this. If you value your own life, you must. You run and run and run until at long last you reach a fork in the road. There are 3 paths which split off through the forest. Well, 4 if you count the path down which you came. You can't exactly double back on yourself, though, not when you have to put so much effort into running forwards. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposts, which is something of a strange sight given you're so deep in the forest. Dark though it might be, you have grown accustomed to the shadows. You could just about pick out the writing on this old, dilapidated signpost, curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you will forgive for sounding cliché, is in your hands. Now I wonder, what path will you take? Let's go to the shore. Love this? Well, yeah. We'll see what happens. Good. So you want to go to the shore? Good idea. What will you discover, I wonder? The night is far from over, and there are many numbers of adventures still awaiting you. I hope that you've prepared yourself in advance, and I do hope for your sake you've learned how to swim. I don't think we have. I have a sneaking suspicion that the skill might come in handy. You follow the path which leads to the shore, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. You're little more than a wisp of a girl, but you have been running for so long and your feet are so very numb, you feel like a great lumbering thing. You need to lie down and quickly. You only hope as you continue to run that you will find a means to escape your current predicament by the shore. You do not know what awaits you, but you have visions of a harbor extending out on the horizon, creating a fleet of white-sailed fishing vessels. Surely there will be a kindly fisherman who will be willing to take you far, far away on his boat, to a place where your pursuer will not be able to find you? You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly fisherman, a face you have lifted from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. He'll have a thick, bushy eyebrows, and a dark brown beard streaked through with gray. He will look intimidating at a glance, but he will be fiercely protective of you, just like a father. Quit having your found family fantasies. You do not know what fathers are supposed to look like. You're only imagining. It is your imagination, however, which grants you the strength needed to keep going. You run to the shore. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? You cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, and all the awful nightmares that lurk with it. Still cold, though, and still foggy. Still dark, too. The sun is yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the verginous cliffs, which plummet sharply downwards in an array of sharp, spiky rocks below. You felt upon escaping the woods a degree of hope, but the sight of those weather-blasted cliffs give you pause. You inhale. Then you frown. Now what are you to do? You did not think this plan of yours through so well. Not that you had much in the way of a plan in the first place. There's little in the way of civilization here. The cliffs are far from the village. How far? You don't know. And you cannot see any houses. Where exactly will you rest your weary head and what of your weary legs? Fitfully, you look around. There's no one to your east, nor is there anybody to your west. There's no point in looking south, which is the way you came. And when you look north, the world falls away from you. The cliffs are too steep to scale, and it's too dark. Naturally, there's not a soul here to help you. You're on your own. You feel so overwhelmed you could very well cry. You do not cry, however. You're a big, strong girl. You know that tears have never helped anyone. You got yourself into this mess. Now you need to get yourself out of it. It is with that thought in mind you inhale a lungful of salty oceanic air. Why is this gloomy story sound so optimistic when you're reading it? I don't know. Just one of those hashtag cozy moments, I guess. There you begin your exploration in earnest. You keep away from the edges of the cliffs, afraid you might slip and take a sudden unfortunate tumble into the abyss below. You're not as attached to your mortal body as some humans are, but you don't want to die. Yeah, cozy AF, exactly. You still care for yourself, if only a little. And it is this sense of self-preservation which compels you onwards. You glance this way and that, depressing the tall grass beneath your shoes as you search for a place of shelter. Surely there must be somewhere. You cannot see any likely-looking settlements, but what is that over yonder? Could it be a roof? You hurry onwards, hope budding anew in your heart, until at long last you reach your destination. There is a house after all, out here in the wilds, though it doesn't at a glance look very welcoming. The solitary house that you've discovered, not so far from the cliffs, is rather unremarkable. So small and squat, you cannot imagine it contains within it more than one floor. Like, gee, what makes you say that? Could it be the fact that it's made out of like 90% straw? You can't even imagine that it contains so much more than one room. Though it is dark, it's not dark enough to mask the cottage has been something of a slant to it. It is leaning listlessly to one side like a drunken sailor. The thatched roof, meanwhile, which tops this dwelling, has certainly seen better days. There's a hole in the thatch, there are several holes in fact, and parts of it look particularly bare, almost bald. Rather concerning. Should it rain, you'll not be properly protected from the elements. Can you really stay the night in such a place? You have some misgivings. But do your misgivings matter, really, when there's nowhere else to go? It's not as though you have any other options. It is with a sense of defeat, therefore, that you approach the cottage, which sticks out of the earth like a tombstone. Part of you wants to turn back, but you know that would be foolish. The windows of the cottage are dark, but that does not necessarily mean it's empty. It is rather late at night, after all. Whoever lives here, if indeed anybody does live here, might be asleep. You cannot imagine the owners of this college will appreciate being roused so very late at night. You cannot let yourself worry too much about these small details, however. Otherwise, you'll never get anywhere. It's like, yeah, just do it. Just be like, sumimasen. Yeah, visual novel readings can be quite enjoyable. Yeah, they can be. And they're pretty low effort. Really, the only effort you're putting in is your throat. But that's what water's for. You swallow. The taste of the salty sea breeze is pungent in the back of your nostrils. Then you rap the knuckles of your right fist on the door. You rap quietly first, but you do not hear any resultant shuffling in the cottage. Like the choice of language. Perhaps you did not use enough strength. Emboldened, you rap your knuckles on the door for a second time, more loudly this time. You wait a few moments, but still you cannot hear anything. Perhaps the cottage is unoccupied after all. Reading Digimon Survive is a lot of effort for a VN. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, low speed, high drag content. Exactly. It's like people come in and they get to listen to a cozy little story. You knock for a third time, then wait. Like I hear fireworks going off in the background. Not like the great American pastime of fireworks and lesbians, right, guys? Well, nobody can say you didn't try. More intrigued now than anxious, your fingers held the handle of the door. You pull it down, and to your surprise, it yields easily. The door swings back for you as if by magic. Like a magic. It's like mukbang without food. Yeah. It feels almost as if this was preordained. You step foot inside the cottage, which was very dark, and glance around. It's hard to see given the lateness of the hour, but the cottage's interior is about as inspiring as its exterior, which is to say not very. It's every bit as small and as cramped as you fancied when you observed it from the outside. There are a few cupboards which line the walls, a wood fire which has since been extinguished, and a straw pallet on the floor which must function as a bed. Your search is unsuccessful, however, when it comes to trying to search for other humans. Yeah, it's America Day. It's also a Philippine Independence Day. I learned today. You cannot find another soul. Birds. Surely that is to your benefit, though. If nobody lives here, then you might as well make yourself at home. Or as home as one can be, I suppose, in a small, cramped cottage such as this with holes in the roof. You close the door behind you, then approach the straw pallet. All of a sudden, you feel incredibly weary. The tiredness that assails your limbs is absolute, so intense it overcomes the last of your concerns. You settle down upon the straw pallet, yawning as you do. Yes, happy 4th of July. It is not uncomfortable, but being able to lie down eases some of your aches and pains. Lying down, even on an uncomfortable makeshift bed such as this one, is better than standing. It is far, far better than running. Your eyelids fall shut, your lashes melting together, and soothed by the sounds of the wind and the distant rolling of the waves, you fall asleep. Then you begin to dream. Lechonk. It is not uncommon, of course, to dream. The best and worst of us do it, from queens in their castles to peasants sleeping in the straw. Why, who is to say that all you have observed tonight has not, in a sense, been a dream of its own? Maybe you're a butterfly. Would that make your nighttime fantasies then a dream inside a dream? Those suck. The figure-destroying urge to light a Roman candle off with my bare hands. It's like, yeah, someone clip. Perhaps our dreams are empty, hollow things stacked inside one another like wooden little dolls. Is that not a whimsical thought? How very droll. This is just lesbian inception here, right? Nighttime fantasies. They're not pure fabrications, as dreams sometimes are. Fleeting fantasies which can never come to pass. Your dreams are of a rather more pernicious sort. Stop using big words, game. I get you're trying to be fancy, but I don't even know what that means, and I got 200 IQ. In your dreams, you are at the conservatoire with your red hair tied back into 2 prim, proper braids. Ah, so the main character is also a redhead. Nice. You are walking through the courtyard, clutching your books to your chest as you make your way to the library. Your head is bowed as not to look at the faces of your passing classmates. You do not want to meet their eyes. Yeah, big brain energy, exactly. These girls with their sensible braids and their sensible shoes are merciless. You hunch your shoulders together in this dream of yours as to not draw their attention, but alas, it is not enough. You stumble, clumsy thing that you are, and you fall, and just like that, all eyes are upon you. So clumsy. Brain. They are staring at you. They are laughing at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. You stay there on the ground by the fountain, your books scattered in your skirt in a woeful state of disarray. Your knee hurts. Ah. Is it bleeding? You examine your injured leg, try not to cry, and as this transpires, you hear a voice. One of your classmates is calling out to you. She has acknowledged you. Oh my god, senpai. You look up shyly, tears bleeding in your eyes, as a girl taller than you and prettier and much more refined. She extends her hand towards you. Does she mean to help you? It cannot hurt to try, can it? Hesitantly, you reach out to accept her offered aid. Her fingers curl around yours tightly, perhaps too tightly. Her nails dig into your skin. It hurts. Deftly, the girl pulls you to your feet. Your legs feel weak from your fall and your knee is still aching. Still bleeding. You stumble, feeling out of sorts, but you're not afforded much an opportunity to gather your bearings. Stumble catch you! Welcome! Just in time. It's like we started the fairy tale so far. We found this messed up, run-down looking straw house after running away from I don't know what. And we're having a dream about a nice girl helping us. The girl's hands are on your shoulders. She's laughing at you. Then she's pushing you. So rude. The sound of the fountain and the running water which drums against its basin is all of a sudden very loud. It's overwhelming. It surrounds you. Then it engulfs you. It's as cold as ice. You can't breathe. The rushing of the water continues, echoing in your eardrums over and over, and then... No. You do not want to remember this. This is a bad core memory. What good will it do? It is in the past, where the past ought to remain. You're never going to go back, not even in your dreams. It is this determination which forces you back into the world of the waking with the start. You gasp like a fish as you sit upright, your eyes unnaturally wide. You feel worried from a lack of sleep, and with half-lidded eyes you glance about. Just like me, for real, for real. Still dark inside your cottage, the sky visible from beyond the windows splashed still with stars. Yeesh. How long were you asleep? You're not sure. Your dream was very detailed. It really did feel like you'd been transported into a different time, into a different place. When you inhale, you can taste rank, foetid water in your mouth. Tentatively, you pat yourself down, your fingers trailing against the front of your uniform. So vivid was your dream, you half expect to find your clothes are damp. This is not the case, however. You are, in fact, perfectly dry, because straw is quite absorbent, I guess. Well, now what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? This sounds like the best option available to you. You are very tired, but your senses feel overwrought all of a sudden for sleep. Damn fish. My nose is itchy. On unsteady legs, you rise to your feet, then stand by the window. You look out to the starry sky and to the pitted moon which hangs amongst them, and you frown. You can hear the wind outdoors howling like an injured animal, and more softly the ebb and flow of the waves as they meet the cliffs. But that is not all. What is that sound? Why, it's almost like singing. The voice is far away, enough that you cannot pick out any individual words, nor even the individual syllables, but there is a haunting quality to it all. The singer, whoever they are, possesses quite the pretty voice, high and clear like a bell. Ah! The song is a melancholy one which stirs your heart. Curiosity takes root inside you, as it did during that fateful day you found that book in the library. Logically, you know you should not go outdoors to seek the source of that singing, but emotionally, that is another matter altogether. You really should have learned your lesson by now. You know better than to go sticking your nose into business which does not concern you. But naughty little girls such as you never do learn. So naughty. You cross the old fisherman's cottage as though in a dream, then reach for the handle of the door. The handle depresses easily enough beneath your grasping fingers, and the door opens with a click. Naughty. The rest of the world yawns before you, framed in the doorway, all of it bathed in moonlight. You thought it was cold inside the old cottage, but it is colder still now that the door is open. An unpleasant wind rushes forth to meet you, knifing mercilessly through the fabric of your uniform. Heckin' allergies. Thank you for the follow. Domo, welcome. You look across the cold, inhospitable landscape, your fingers clenched into fists at your side. Then you step out into the unknown. You canvass the cliff face, led by nothing more than that luxurious singing. So haunting and ethereal is this voice as it hangs on the breeze. It would be enough to send 1,000 ships off to war. Yes, pet kitty. Welcome. Welcome, Slary? Is that how you say it? I see you got the Lechonk emote. And it's so cute. I like Lechonk. He's so nice, picky. You keep walking into the night until you reach the very edge of the cliffs, where they drop downwards into empty air. You ought not to go any further, but the voice is yet to cease. You can still hear it, echoing inside your head. It compels you to act. You look down at the shore, which seems like a dizzying distance away, then out to the ocean, which is breaking against the scattered rocks below. Your eyes narrow with determination. Then you take a step towards the cliff. These cliffs are steep and the rocks below them are sharp. You can see them glinting in the darkness, their tips jagged like the teeth of hungry predators. The cold wind blows, rocking your hair, and you shudder from it. I don't like that kind of wind. Your shoes were not built for scaling cliffs, and your heels do not have much in the way of purchase, particularly not when the cliffs are so steep. Clinging to the cliffs is no small feat, yet you're determined to ease yourself down onto the shore, in one piece preferably. The wind is so powerful it feels as though there is something deliberately malicious to it. You wonder during your descent if it means to knock you off your perch on purpose, to cast you down to the rocks below. Well, if that's what it wants, then you refuse to give it that satisfaction. Fuck you, wind! You can be awfully stubborn at times, and now is one of them. You continue to climb. How long have you been running now? Until, at long last, your feet meet the shoreline below. You made it, and you didn't sustain too many injuries. Your palms are throbbing, yes. After gripping those rocks, you might have a few cuts, but your wounds are of a shallow and superficial sort. Things could have been worse. You flex your fingers, they feel uncomfortably numb and cold alongside it. Your skin is prickling, but at least you can still feel discomfort. At least it's still attached to your bones, where it ought to be. Your vital organs, concealed within the hollow cavity of your body. Yes, that is exactly where organs should be, inside of you, and not outside of you. Like, very astute observation. You have a lot to be thankful for, like having your organs inside your body. That night has, by large, been quite successful. There are no longer any obstacles between you and the mysterious voice which lulled you outdoors. Like, I'm so thankful for that one organ. Yeah, there's so many to be thankful for, right? Now you must find them. You set down the shore on the hunt of the singing voice which has captivated you so. You sidetrack sharp, jagged rocks which jut out of the sand like teeth. The rocks which cannot be circumnavigated, meanwhile you clamber over. All the while the sound of the sea mingles with that of the singing. It provides an ethereal, haunting backdrop to your exploration, one which further adds to the surreality of your moonlight stroll. Yeah, it's like, which one? Which organ? The waves lap against the shore, then recede shyly, pushed and pulled by the bleached white moon which hangs overhead. Organs are nice, but if you shove those big musical ones inside a patient, their family gets mad. It's like, oops, wrong organ. Like, I thought you meant the music one. The oceans that you've seen in your library books were all blue as sapphires, but this ocean is different. So late at night, it looks black instead. The undulating surface of the water reminds you of a mirror, though its depths are even deeper and much more mysterious. If you listen carefully, you can hear the singing. Ah. A sense of foreboding settles upon you, but you try to squash it. You will not let yourself be afraid. Pipe organ, yeah! Oh, there she is. She's so pretty. And she's probably going to kill us. You round the corner, your feet unsteady as their sensible brown... your feet unsteady in their sensible brown shoes. Why do you keep calling them sensible? And then at long last you see her. There's a woman sitting upon a rock out in the ocean. The woman's eyes are closed and her lips are parted, her expression soulful. She's singing. Her hair, which is fair, flutters around her face like a shroud, which adds to her otherworldly aura. Her eyes might be closed, but her lashes are long and luxuriant like dolls. Her lips, meanwhile, which are parted in a song, are soft like freshly plucked petals of a flower. Her face is perfect, as are her proportions. Mermaiden, yeah. She is cute. So cute. Her neck is tall and slender, like the stem of a flower. As for the lower half of her body, meanwhile, well, it's nothing like anything you've ever seen before. It is here and here alone that the woman betrays your narrow human definitions of beauty, for her legs are non-existent. In other words, wood. Rather than two awkward appendages, this woman has instead the sleek, shimmering tail of a fish. Is she not then a human? She cannot be, not with a tail like that. This unusual sight makes you gasp, and quite audibly at that. You did not mean to be rude, but you cannot help yourself. Humans tend to react poorly to things they do not understand. At least you do not scream. That would have been ruder. Oh my. You meant to observe the maiden from a distance, but it would appear your shocked gasp was loud enough to attract her attention. The fish-tailed vision sitting upon the rock is looking at you. Her gaze is so piercing, feels almost as if she's looking through you. Your heart seems to stop inside your chest, as if by some matter of magical spell. You thought the mermaid pretty when you first observed her, sitting on that outcrop of rock, her face turned in profile. Now she's looking at you, however, you can see you were mistaken. She's not just pretty, she's beautiful. So much so it's unnerving. She looks as though she stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong in this world. Must protect. Perhaps she's some kind of vision? A waking dream? A hallucination? But no, she's none of those things. Her tail might be an impossible thing, but its scales look slick and wet regardless, like any fish one might find at the market. Those scales are iridescent and bathed between the night and the moon. They seem almost to glow. Blow my nose. The sight of her rather takes your breath away. You look at the mermaid. She looks back at you. You prepare yourself expecting some sort of altercation. The surprise soon fades from the mermaid's face. Her lips, which once were pursed in a frown, now shift upwards. She's smiling. Yay! Then she says in a refined sort of voice, My, it really is good to see a human again, particularly a human girl. I was beginning to fear that your kind had all disappeared, and I would no longer have anyone left to tell me of the world above the waters. My, this is quite the effusive greeting. Stop using big words. I don't know what that word means. The mermaid's introductory speech is positively brimming with excitement of a sweet, girlish variety. If had more amicable than the fine polish of her syllables would make one suggest. You might be a well-bred lady yourself with an accent to match, but you cannot help but feel overwhelmed. Anxiously, you observe the mermaid and you ask her what she means. What happened? As a dad, I am afraid I cannot say. Elusive, effusive, yeah, right? Been sitting on these rocks and singing for many, many nights, but nobody has come to see me. There's been no lovely humans for me to play with. I was beginning to wonder whether your kind had disappeared altogether. I feared some manner of calamity had occurred while I had been slumbering beneath the water's surface and your kind had been eradicated. You shuddered, then reassured the mermaid. To the contrary. I don't know what about the humans you used to speak with, but you at least have not been eradicated. You're still here. Yes, well, I can see that, the mermaid answers with a light laugh. It is really a relief. My fellow merpeople who live beneath the water told me not to worry so, but I could not help myself. I've always been fond of you humans. It is rather sobering sitting here night after night, all on my own. It gets so lonely here. Up, she said the title, roll credits! Now that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a blur. Have you heard it before? So, dear human, did you say that you're unfamiliar with these parts? Hesitantly, you examine the mermaid. Thoughtless though you might be at times, you're not so very self-centered that you cannot detect a note of longing in this mermaid's voice. She's lonely. It's evident as she looks at you that she's hoping for a particular answer to her query. This answer, alas, is not one you can furnish her with. Like, what? You don't want to lie to her. Because after some hesitation, therefore, you reaffirm your earlier words, though this time you embellish them. Like, I'm not lonely, I'm just socially challenged. You tell the mermaid that you're a traveler from a far-off land, one which is dissimilar to this one. It's not a complete fabrication. You tell her that you only just arrived on the shore and you're unfamiliar both with your immediate surroundings and those further afield. If there's a village nearby, then you've never set foot in it. You do not know what this village is like, nor how many inhabitants it boasts. You do not know if a calamity, as the mermaid you grimly supposed, has struck this land. But if she fears all the humans within the immediate vicinity have lain low by some mysterious malady, then she needn't worry overly on that score. You're still alive! Are you not, you wonder, enough to satiate her curiosity with the human realm? Yes, that is true. You are here. I am grateful naturally for your company. Hello. Thelma Moon Ghost, welcome. It's like we are talking to Mermaid. She is lonely, hence the title. She sings pretty songs. Although, wistfully, the mermaid sighs. I was rather hoping you might be able to bring me some news of a nearby village and on its inhabitants. Pork roll, can you get that? This makes you wonder. Was there a particular person from this village she was close to? So you were able to work that much out, the mermaid answers. Thank. With a small smile. You are an intelligent one, aren't you? Your past professors would beg to differ on that score. You were always awful when it came to academics. Mathematics in particular. Like, no, I'm good at math. You could never get your head around all those numbers. Your stern, stony-faced math professor used to despair in you. But she's not here. None of them are here. Just you now and the mermaid. Just me and the mermaid. She does not need to know about your dismal academic record. You allow yourself a small smile, touched by her compliment, and tell her that it was nothing more than a lucky guess. For a guess, it was remarkably accurate. You're quite right, you did have a close friend from a nearby village. She was very dear to me. Internally, you congratulate yourself on this piece of detective work. How very clever you are! Yes, I'm so smart. There are many humans in this world, of that I know. The human who spoke with me, however, was special. She was my human. You do not fail to catch the possessive note of the mermaid's voice. It's like, oh, possessive now, gee. And I cherished her dearly. She would come to me on my rock late at night when she was finished with her chores and we would talk. I asked her a good number of questions about the human realm and about her customs. I fear my endless inquiries must have been rather tedious, but she was always happy to indulge me. I had to brush something off my face. She never once scorned me for my ignorance, and neither did she make me feel like a fool. She always made time for me, no matter how many demands she had on her time. She was a farmer's daughter. She was awfully busy from dawn till dusk, threshing hay and taking animals out to the pasture. She told me of her work, and I marveled at her. Slender though she was, she possessed a truly tremendous amount of strength. I, who have lived in the ocean all my life, cannot countenance working hard as she did, but she bore her burdens without complaining. She was not the prettiest human who has walked the earth, but that mattered none to me. Her conversation was engaging, and I knew, through our continued encounters, she meant no ill will. She did not have even a single drop of malice in her heart. The wistful manner in which the mermaid speaks of her friend makes you feel, for a few brief moments, a flicker of some ugly primordial emotion. Could it be jealousy? It is painful, isn't it, to hear others wax poetics about those they hold dear, particularly when you yourself have never been regarded in so intimate a matter. Make time for a limited time. I'm offering an amazing deal. I'll give you one old viewer for the low price of one head pat. Sure, I'll take it. That sounds like a good deal to me. And my hair's all frizzy. Like I took a shower, but it's all like bleh. Yay, Pat. You have for many, many years been woefully alone, but you're not alone now. You're with the mermaid, and she's with you, and though she might prefer to be in the company of an industrious farmhand, the farmhand's not here. Where'd she go? Oh, if only I knew. She quite simply disappeared one day, almost as if she'd been whisked away by a wicked spirit. That seems to be quite the anticlimactic ending for such a close relationship. Did the farmhand not tell our companion beforehand that she might one day disappear? No, she did not. Nothing of that sort happened. It was all very sudden. So you ask, feeling affronted by the mermaid's behalf, did she not give you any warning? Not a single one. When you ask, did she disappear? I do not know in truth. Yes, you've had pets. Time is a strange concept to beings such as myself, particularly as it ebbed and flowed differently both above and below the surface. Humans have a strange compulsion to pin down and to place labels upon everything. You have names for your seasons and for your months and even for your days of the week. Yes, it's Tuesday. It's all very precise. We merfolk, however, do not bother with such affairs, perhaps because we live for so much longer than you humans do. We have no need to obsessively document our days, not when we have so many of them at our disposal. This curious remark catches your attention. How long exactly do mermaids live for? The mermaid does not look much older than you do, but you can't help but wonder. My, nosy, aren't we? The mermaid asks as she laughs. A soft, tinkling sound like that of a bell, which makes you blush. Were you being nosy? Perhaps you were. I always had a thirst for knowledge. Not of the dry, dusty academic variety, but of stories peopled with strange persons. Literature was the only subject you were ever any good at. Again, it is hard for me to quantify, but to put it in terms a human like you can understand, I suppose we mermaids can live for centuries. Centuries? That's quite a surprise. Or perhaps it shouldn't be. You've been subjected to a number of surprises tonight. What is one more to add to the pile? I've not been waiting quite that long, however, for my friend to return to me. I think it's been but a few seasons. It might not sound like much, but never before have I been so aware of the past time. I've experienced any number of wants during my life, but I've never wanted anything quite as badly as I want to see her. I wish she would sit with me and she would talk to me just one more time. But perhaps I am asking for an impossibility. I've been waiting for long enough now to presume that she will not be returning to me. I feel that something must have happened to her or to her family. I fear that something must have, yeah, or perhaps to her whole village. You can hear the whirring throbbing in the mermaid's voice, so potent that for a few moments you swear you can feel the depths of her sorrow within your own breast. Her sadness over this human girl is a deep, dark thing, almost fathomless. You cannot let yourself indulge in it for too long, otherwise you fear you might drown in it. Ruefully, you tell the mermaid once more that you can't help her. You're only a traveler after all. What do you know of a single insignificant farmhand in a nearby village? Yes, I thought you might say that. It's quite unfortunate, but... oh well. I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. That would be careless of me, and it would not be fair to you either. You did not approach me, I am sure, with the hope of hearing about all of my woes. I should be grateful instead for all that I do have. I still have my long, long life ahead of me, which stretches before me like a golden cord, and of course I have you now. Does she? Do I not? I ought to go soon before my absence is noted, but will you not come and visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I've always enjoyed speaking to humans. You make me feel less alone. Can't help but feel as the mermaid observes you with those enchanting eyes of her that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake. She wants to use you instead as a substitute for the farmhand that she'd been missing so very ardently. The thought stings, though you really ought to be used to it. Still, to be held in lower esteem than a farmhand of all things. It makes your self-esteem sting. It's like, oh, I'm being compared to a peasant. Oh. You try not to let the mermaid notice this, though. Those of your past are not her fault, much as the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly in any case to be jealous of a girl who might very well be dead. That's what you tell yourself. It's the only way to prop up your bruised sense of self-worth. You tell the mermaid, after a pause, like to see her again. You would like that very much. Oh, thank you. I've been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally feels though I can smile again. Did she not smile, you wonder, after her friend disappeared? I did not know. I did not have the heart. Without her, the world seemed very dull and drab. Your company has cheered me up immensely. This is why I like humans so much. You're not callous and unfeeling like the merfolk who live beneath the water's surface. You're much kinder than they are. Oh, if only she knew. If the mermaid was aware, I wonder, of how petty you are and how jealous, would she still care for you? Well, this is neither here nor there. You agreed to meet with the mermaid come sundown the following night, then make your slow stumbling way back up the cliffs, then to the cottage you purloined as your own. Like, that's a Pokemon, not a word. Once indoors, you settle down upon your pallet, and then you close your eyes. The sighing of the wind outside and the distant rolling of the waves against the rocks do not disturb you. You feel after your night encounter with a murish kind, quite at ease, perhaps prematurely so. What happened to the icy fear which prompted your frantic flight through the forest? Where's that all gone? Did you not think you're being a bit complacent? No? Oh well. You will. The following morning when it arrives is cloudy and overcast. It's not a particularly pleasant morning, but at least it's not raining. There is some small consolation. You rise from your straw pallet, stretching, then glance about the interior of the fisherman's cottage. It looked dilapidated last night, when much of it was obscured by the shadows, but looks even more so when subjected to the morning's light. The cottage's interior had the distinct, disquieting appearance of having been abandoned in a hurry. You don't use Pokemon names in regular conversation? It's like, I wish. I'm talking about how meow all my furniture is. Meow, that's right. There is broken pottery strewn upon the ground and the singular wooden chair, which once must have stood by the singular wooden tables lying on the floor. The doors of the cupboards, meanwhile, are ajar, the shelves within depressingly bare. A quick search reveals a handful of edibles. Oh boy, there's a precious little to be getting on with. If you wish to live here comfortably, you'll have to look into foraging. Get some shrooms. You ate very little last night and your stomach's empty. It was the contented rumblings of your stomach in actual fact which roused you from your slumber. Oh, whoa. Where your body seems to be very far away indeed. Much like the grey clouds that choke the sky. You're not thinking of your own physical discomforts. You're dwelling instead upon the events of the night prior. You can't help but think of the mermaid. Did you truly meet an aquatic maiden last night during your nightly stroll when you couldn't sleep? Hot wowny face. Sounds unreal, especially now the sun has risen and the shadows from the late night prior have dispersed. You cannot quite believe it. It must have been a dream. But why then can you recall it so very clearly? You help yourself to the scant food and drink available to you, all the while thinking of your next course of action. Now what are you to do? You plan, of course, to return to the shore come nightfall so that you might once again see the mermaid, but the night will not arrive for quite some time. You need to find some means of keeping yourself occupied till then. The uninspiring interior of the cottage does not furnish you with any particular ideas, so you decide to go for a walk. Your soul still aches after your exertions last night, but if you go slowly, you ought to be alright. That's what you hope at least. You don't want to spend much longer than you have in the fisherman's cottage, no matter how cold it might be outdoors. It's almost as cold as it is out, and in any case, the cottage is far too small. You leave the cottage behind you and set off. You do not know where exactly you're going, but you suppose it does not matter overly much. Hello? You do not... yeah. That. Wait, can my nose stop itching? Your meanderings lead to the cliffs, which are steep and sharp. The drop to the shore is a perilous one, so much that you might have to wonder how you were able to descend the cliffs the night prior to meet the mermaid. You're rather more determined than you ever realized. Though I, of course, could have told you as much. Well, thanks, narrator. You're surprisingly capricious for such a small, slender human. Walk along the sides of the cliffs, keeping a sensible distance away from the drop of the shore. You might have survived last night's excitement unscathed, but you do not fancy trying your luck. It would be so like you really to avoid a drop to your death in the darkness, only to stumble during the morning's light and take an irreversible tumble. It's like when your dark vision backfires. Your fortunes have never been the fairest. Your meanderings along the cliff revealed to you all manners of curious flora. You thought the night prior that the cliffs were weather-based. Or weather-blasted. But you can see now that your assumptions were incorrect. Flowers here, very warm and bright, like the sun's light during the summertime. Or you think with a flush of pleasure, the fair hair of the mermaid, whom you are certain you spoke to last night. Totally wasn't a dream. These flowers are so very like her hair, it's uncanny. You step towards the flowers, drawn towards them, and sink down to your knees. The tall grass brushes your ankles like a caress, the morning dew wetting your skirt. Your clothes are getting damp, as are your legs, but you care not for this minor discomfort. You have just had an idea. Why not make a gift for your new friend? You're sure she would appreciate it. Why would she not? She told you in a voice which was steeped in dolor that she had been feeling lonely. You want to see her again. When you next see her, you would like to make her smile. With this thought in mind, you begin to pick the flowers which are growing upon the cliffside. These flowers do not have any thorns, and their delicate stems snap easily enough between your fingers. You take care when plucking these flowers to have a substantial amount of stem intact. You'll need these stems so that you might twine the flowers together. You need to make your mermaid a diadem? Something she'll be able to wear in her hair. This tiara is certain to suit her. Just call it a flower crown, please! She's so pretty, anything would suit her. You continue to work, slow and steadfast, as this weak sun shines. It takes time, but you're eventually able to fashion something you're satisfied with. You only hope the mermaid will feel similarly. If indeed she really does exist. I don't know, have you taken your meds today? Carefully, you pocket your makeshift diadem, then decide to forage for some food. You discover during your search some fruit trees whose sweet burnins are enough to fortify your spirits. For the present, at least. It is fortunate, really, that you're so excited about your moonlight rendezvous with the mermaid. You are less focused upon the future and dwell more in the immediate present. It's like if you were less focused upon the future and dwell more in the immediate present, you might have more of an appetite. Ah, words. The emptiness in your stomach A sausage? You return to the cottage, where you mean to wait for the setting of the sun. There's very little to do, you soon discover. In the cottage, other than checking the cupboards and sweeping the floor, occupations both feel depressingly pointless. There's no books to read either, with which you might pass your idle hours. You do, however, busy yourself with trying to light a fire so that you might ward off the cold. Time is horribly slow in passing, in part because you have precious little to do, but also because you can't stop thinking about the mermaid. Will she really return to the shore as she said she would? Can you truly trust her? Oh, you hope that you can! If she were not present at your designated meeting place, you'd think you would die from disappointment. You might die from other things, considering the warnings in this game. The seconds continue to trickle by, unchecked by any hourglass. As they do, the sun sinks beneath the horizon. Part of you worries, however, it might still be too early to search for the mermaid. Will she be there yet? You sit there, your stomach tied up in anxious knots, as you listen to the wind which buffets your windows. You hear it. The sound is faint, but you recall it well from the night before. There's a single solitary voice outdoors, tempest tossed amidst the roiling waves. The voice is high, clear one, silvery if indeed voices can have colors, like a finely polished dinner plate in a noble woman's home. The voice, belongs, of course, to the mermaid. Who else do you know with a voice as angelic as that? Well, relief begins to bubble up inside you, a relief so potent you feel dizzy from it. She did not abandon you after all. Why, you wonder, did you ever think she would? She said she wanted to see you. You think that's a mere nicety? Buoyed as if by a gentle breeze, you hurry to the door. With trembling fingers, they are trembling, I presume, from an excitement rather than fear. You seize the handle, then turn it. Then you step into the dark, inky night. You walk towards the cliffs, as you did the night prior, beneath the cover of the inky blue sky, the wind moaning fitfully with every step you take. Your soul still ache from your expedition a day prior, but you're able to ignore this discomfort. It seems irrelevant, really, when compared to the prospect of once again meeting the mermaid. You have known her for only one night, yet she has come to mean more to you than your own well-being. You'd do anything for the mermaid if she asked it. Well, almost anything. Sure about that? You hurry down the sharp incline of the cliffs to shore, almost stumbling in your scuffed brown shoes, which really were not built with rock climbing in mind. So frantic you are in your attempts to once again make the mermaid's acquaintance, you very nearly fall. The good thing you still have enough sense to you to regain your footing. Yeah, falling would suck. Otherwise, this tale would come to a premature ending. It's like, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, game. I'm sure there's a bad ending or two in here. Eventually, you make your way onto the shore, then approach the jagged outcrop of rock where you last saw the mermaid. Like the night prior, the mermaid is perched upon these rocks, her fair hair strewn about her shoulders. When she sees from across the shore, she ceases her singing, and her eyes light up. Or at least they seem to. Oh, you have returned to me, my hero, the mermaid says, and then lightly she giggles. Or perhaps should I say heroine? Her praise makes you blush. You do not feel worthy of it. You don't even think of yourself as a heroine. If a story were made about you, you rather think you would be a supporting character, one without her own voice. Yeah, we have had, like, no dialogue, have we? Just this narrator. You're not interesting enough. The mermaid seems to think that you are, though. She's staring at you delightfully. As though you're the one person in the world she almost wishes to speak to. The thought makes you tremble, but not as much as the mermaid's gaze. You tell the mermaid that you do not think you are so very brave, but she dismisses your awkward remark with a laugh. I think you are. I saw the way you scaled those cliffs. I thought that was very heroic. Oh, so she saw that, didn't she? Ah. Then, did she see how you slipped down the cliffs, grazing your palms in the process, and how you very nearly fell on your ass? You've never been the most graceful of girls, but to have your failings exposed before a being as poised and as perfect as the mermaid, it stings a little bit. More, in fact, than the resultant grazes on your palms. Your clumsiness rot you. We're very clumsy. You tell the mermaid that there is nothing so very heroic about all of that. You were simply excited, that is all, to see her again. You weren't thinking. Well, that makes two of us. I was excited to see you again. She was? Oh. Naturally, I had a very good time speaking with you last night. I'd hoped we might resume our correspondence. That is why I came to the rocks a bit earlier than usual. I was waiting for you. Did you hear my song? Yes, you reply, with a nod to your head. You heard it all the way in the abandoned village. It called out to you. That was the general idea. I was singing for you. She was? Huh. Domo Poppy Seeds, welcome! How you doing? It's like, we are playing a girl who was run away from home. She went to an abandoned village and ran into a mermaid there. The mermaid liked the farm girl, but then the farm girl disappeared, so now we're keeping her company. Yeah. You do not think you're worthy of the mermaid song, but if she does not mind dedicating her voice to you, then... Well, who else would I dedicate my voice to? There's nobody else to hear me. That is a good point, you suppose. Shyly, you look back at the mermaid. You thank her for her song. It was very beautiful. Then tell her before you can lose your nerve that you prepared a present for her, too. You need to go stay in the mud. You won't grow out here. Like... You're okay, this looks awesome? Yeah, it's like the art's really nice. Like, the vocabulary is a step above than what it needs to be, but... It's nice and flowery. Oh, have you really? You have. It's a small thing, nothing more than a silly trinket. But if it would not be too much of an imposition, then with clumsy fingers you reach into your pocket. For a few moments, you fret that your near fall down the cliff might have damaged the delicate chain nestled with it, but your worries are in vain. The chain is surprisingly sturdy, given that it was made with only a few flowers and it was held firm against the odds. You handle the chain with great care all the same, however, as you hold it, presenting it for the mermaid's approbation. Do you know what I mean about these big words? Like, I don't even know what these words mean. It was for the mermaid that you fashioned this chain. Give you a teeny phone so you could watch Twitch underground. It's like, yeah, have plant tube. Or plant Twitch. So you can watch it underground as a plant. Yeah, so it was for the mermaid that you fashioned the chain. You thought it would look nice nestled in her hair. You replaced the chain when first you made it, but after looking at the mermaid, you have begun to reconsider. Yeah. The mermaid's beauty is otherworldly. So much so it almost hurts to look at her. Your flower crown, by comparison, seems a very meager offering indeed. The longer you hold your gift out, the more unworthy it feels. You have half a mind as the seconds lapse to snatch your silly, wholly unworthy gift back from the mermaid before she can judge you too harshly. Yeah, Twitch nutrients to grow, exactly. Get them bits. But the mermaid's lips curve upwards into a smile, and a voice so full of gratitude it makes your heart drop says, "Oh my! Did you make this for me?" Well, yes, you reply, still feeling a little flustered. You saw these flowers earlier when you went for a walk, and they made you think of her. Not you even add that you think her beauty is comparable to these flowers. They are far inferior when contrasted with her good looks. You simply thought? You're unable to get the rest of the sentence out, however, because the mermaid interrupts you, not rudely, but something resembling compassion. Perhaps she pities you. Stop being insecure. She must be able to hear how your voice is trembling. Well, I have a tablet this random person dropped to watch Twitch on. Gotten really good at typing with my leaves. How nice. Well, there you go. It's like free iPad. Oh dear. Faint heart never won the hand of a fair maiden, you know. What happened to all your confidence? Like, what confidence? I think that your gift is a wonderful one. I did not at all expect it, but it really is pretty. You look at your feet, too shy to meet the mermaid's gaze. Then you say very quietly that you're glad that she thinks so, but she does not need to prepare your ego. You have precious little of it left as it is. The mermaid seems touched by your shyness. Perhaps she likes her prey to be self-conscious because she smiles. I'm not simply saying things to spare your ego. I'm not like that. Humans might spout platitudes as easy as they breathe air, but I do not compliment others unless I truly mean it. Is that not the point of speech? To have an honest dialogue with one another? If one party in a conversation is withholding their true intentions, then conversation is impossible. Never learned to type. You just poke my phone and hope autocorrect makes a coherent sentence. That's one way to do it. Playing games is a waste of my time, particularly given my time above the surface is very limited. Oh. You blush at this more deeply still and survey the mermaid beneath the full fringe of your eyelashes. Then she really does like it? Did I not just say that? Humans are so very funny with all your second guessing. She was like that too in the beginning. She? My friend. The mermaid's answer is a simple one, but it makes your stomach clench regardless. Ah, yes, her friend. How'd you forgotten about her? She used to make me gifts too, you know, gifts like this one. She would pick flowers on the cliffs over there, where I cannot tread. The mermaid gestures with one hand to the cliffs, which tower above the shore, tall and posing as though to stab the sky above. And she would fashion them into crowns like this one and bracelets. I was appreciative of her tokens, though she was similarly shy when first she presented them to me. She did not seem to think very much of her handiwork. You and her are remarkably similar, really. There's no guile to the mermaid's voice, but her words have rather taken the wind out of your sails. Of course, the cowherd gave the mermaid gifts. Why would she not? The mermaid's beautiful. She's so very beautiful, like a tutelary goddess. She seems to invite tribute simply by existing. Were you more religious or irreligious, maybe, you might even consider worshipping her. Though in essence, is that not what you were doing with your flower crown? How silly of you to think that your idea was an original one. I might be accustomed to gifts, but it's been a very long time since any human has bequeathed me of anything. It is a pleasant surprise. I am truly thankful for your kindness, dear one. The mermaid leans forward on her rock as to pluck the circlet from your fingers. Her benevolent smile all the while is unwavering. And now that I look at your gifts more closely, I rather think it's of a superior quality to the gifts my old friend once gave me. Now this is enough to make you start. The touch of the mermaid's. They worded this so weird. To make you start if the touch of the mermaid's fingers upon you was not. Could your silly gift really be better than those she once accepted? I think so. My friend's trinkets were all rather clumsy in execution, though I cherished them nonetheless. They were very precious to me. They did not last for very long, though. Not when I took them with me to my home beneath the ocean. The water soon rent the fragile links between the flower stems asunder. Your flower crown, however, because I'm tired of reading that word, seems more sturdy, but it is by the same token very delicate. You must be very good with your hands. It's like, wink, wink. Think back briefly to your disastrous sewing lessons in the past, of your numerous failed attempts to thread your needle, while the other girls giggled at you and you blushed. Hee hee indeed. Domo Brew's welcome in intonation. So many big words. Yes, welcome. You think the mermaid's praise might be a touch too effusive. You tell the mermaid as such, but she only laughs. I do not think so now. The mermaid places your floral trinket upon her head. Aw, it looks so cute. Over her long fair hair, then surveys you in a manner which seems almost equotish. What do you think? You think the mermaid looks radiant, though it's less because of your gift and more because of her natural looks. You tell the mermaid this, though not in terms quite this glowing, and she giggles. You are selling yourself too short. I think your gift is lovely, really. The flowers rather match my hair. Yes, you answer with a nod of your head. That is why you picked those flowers. She's all you've been able to think of. I am glad you've been thinking of me, and I, in truth, have been thinking of you, though I do not wish to say as such. No? No, it'd be embarrassing to confess how much I've been looking forward to our union if you did not feel similarly. I do not care to pine for humans from afar. But if you care for me as I do you, then it makes me feel less alone. You hasten to assure the mermaid, your face aflame. Do you ever stop blushing? Goodness gracious. That you do care for her, very much so. You have not known her for very long, but she certainly made an impression upon you. She's such an easy conversationalist that time simply slips by when you are together. Does not hurt, of course, that she's so pretty. I have heard it said, yes, that my looks are rather appealing. My old friend was similarly complimentary. I cannot blame you humans for being so taken by me when my form is so very graceful. Your legs seem rather cumbersome in comparison to my smooth, sleek tail. Must be very depressing to lumber about on land as you do, living your days beneath the harsh sun and the cool, unfeeling moon. Sometimes I think I rather pity you. Harsh. But the surface is such a good deal brighter than it is beneath the ocean. I will grant you that much. You agree with the mermaid, still feeling flushed that there are some perks to having legs, an agreement which makes the mermaid giggle. I am certain that there are, though you cannot explore the ocean's depths as I can. I presume you never tried it. Time dilation. Huh. As they were thinking of themselves as prey to her, does she eat humans? I don't know, we'll find out. Go under the sea, ba-ba, ba-ba, under the sea. You shake your head no. You never thought so, largely because you've never been so close to the sea before, not in all your life. You don't have much opportunity for nautical exploration in the past. You were not allowed to go anywhere then, save for the local church. It's quite a lonely existence. Well, now that is a pity. You were kind enough to give me a gift fashioned from flowers which grow where I cannot reach them, so perhaps I ought to return the favor, and drown you in the process, probably. The favor? Yes, that is right. It would seem only fitting that I give you something which can only be found in the ocean's depths. Thus we could look at it as a form of cultural exchange. Oh no, you protest, your eyes wide. You couldn't possibly put such a burden upon her, aw. Hella sus of her, yeah. Dumb and majestic bacon. Old story mermaids did eat people, luring them close and drowning them. Yeah, you are correct. So she is quite sus for that alone. You did not give her a gift after all because you want to receive anything. You want to receive anything in return, anything other than her friendship, that is. Her conversation is more than enough to satisfy you. You don't need any physical presence on top of that. The mermaid does not seem convinced, however, by your naysaying. She raises one eyebrow, even this gesture is performed elegantly, then says, if my company is all that it takes to satisfy you, then you are easy to please indeed. But please, do not rebuff me. I am offering because I wish to do this. Remember what I said. I do not say things for the sake of it. Yes, friendship, quote unquote. It's like, who knows? Maybe she ate the village. Well, you murmur, if she really doesn't mind. Of course I do not mind. Now wait here. I will not be very long. 1 minute on a hot stove seems like forever, and 1 minute with a beautiful woman seems like a few seconds. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's that time dilation. It would be rude to abandon my new friend in the midst of a conversation. The mermaid turns her attention towards the clear mirror-like water which shimmers beneath the moonlight. Then she dives. Her body arches elegantly through the air, her long, slender limbs cleaving through the surface of the water with nary a ripple. The mermaid's face is first submerged, then her torso and a long last her tail. The water rushes forth to envelop her, as though it's been waiting for her. It subsumes her. It swallows her. Oh. Then she disappears from view. The mermaid is gone, but you are still there. Well, now what are you gonna do? There's nothing that can be done, you suppose, save waiting. You stand there for several moments, watching the black water lap against the shore. No, I must have pushed up accident. What? The breeze howls mournfully like a wounded animal. I should just save just in case. There you go. As it buffets your hair about your face and your torn skirt around your legs, Time elapses, but how much of it? While you stand there fretfully, feeling as ostentatious as a maypole. When will the mermaid return? Will she ever return? You're starting to worry. Is that all you can do when... Look over there by the rocks, upon which the mermaid once sat. The water is rippling. Looks as though your new friend has returned. Yay! The mermaid pulls herself onto the rocks, using a surprising amount of upper strength, and smiles at you. I apologize for the wait. I hope I did not make you worry. You were worrying, but are not half so honest as the mermaid. Mermaids might be spoken as devious tricksters who lure sailors to their deaths, but they are, in actuality, very sincere. They're much more sincere than most humans. Perhaps that's why your kind fears them so. There are very few creatures who inhabit this world, whose capacity for lying is greater than your own. You tell the mermaid that you're not worrying, and she answers with a weary smile. I'm not so sure about that. Not the sirens of Greek myth? I don't know. The mermaid is wilier than you're giving her credit for. She can sing, so I think she is siren adjacent, if not a straight up siren. At least a mermaid. Minimum. She got the fishtail. But no matter, it took me some time, but I was finally able to retrieve for you a gift. I do not have the means to turn this into a pretty piece of jewelry, as you did with the flowers, but I wish to give it to you nonetheless. I do hope that you like it. The mermaid leans forward, then holds her gift out towards you. Her slender fingers unfurl about it, like the petals of a flower being folded back, and... What a pretty gift it is! Ah! Seacon! The ocean might be dark and deep, cold and unfeeling, but the same cannot be said of the object which glitters upon the mermaid's palm. She has fished from the depths of the water a beautiful shell, one which shimmers prismatic colors beneath the moon's light, much like the scales on her tail. Siren she, her. Yeah. Exactly. The shell is so very pretty, it quite takes your breath away. You look at the shell worriedly, your teeth biting your lower lip. That is a bad habit, you know. You'll make yourself bleed, and ask the mermaid if it's really alright. Would a gift like this not be wasted on you? Of course not. I want you to have the shell because it makes me think of you. Aw. It does? How so? I thought it should be obvious. This shell is a lovely find. As are you. Aw. Oh. Did she just call you lovely? Surely you must have misheard her. No, you didn't. Thought it was a massive drill. It's an ocean drill. You can scarcely believe it. It is awful lot for you to take in, but... Now, why are you gawping at me like that? The wind will change, you know, and then your face will be stuck like that, which would be quite the shame. You would waste your good looks, which for a maiden such as yourself would be nothing short of a tragedy. Seems as though the mermaid really does think you are pretty after all. The mermaid with her smooth skin and her fair, fair hair. Like spaghetti. You can scarcely believe it. There's something almost laughable about the mermaid's compliments. How could she call you pretty when her looks are so immediately obviously superior? Yeah, get us blushing with all that flirty. Tongue-tied, you look at your feet. You do not know how to reply to the mermaid. You have half a mind to refute her words to tell her that you are not that pretty. Not really, but you fear that might look rude. Don't rebuff the mermaid's well wishes. There's nothing for it then to take the shell which the mermaid received from the ocean's depths for you. You don't think you're worthy of it, but neither do you want to refuse it. Now that is a surprise, the mermaid says amused as you reach for the shell. I did not think you would be bold enough to take it, not without more coaxing on my part. You have exceeded my expectations. What a good girl you are. Your heart flutters with that praise. Oh, and flutters all the more when your trembling fingers brush against the mermaid's palm. Oh, hand touching. Oh my god. You press this shell into your skin and your own fingers tighten about it. The shell is sharp and pointed. It digs uncomfortably into your skin. It hurts. But there is pleasure in the pain. Apparently we're a masochist. This too feels like a gift from the mermaid. Yeah, she's like, good girl. You do not want to spurn it. Even pain can be a precious thing when dealt by one whom you care for. You never knew that before. You hold the shield to your heart, which is being in a regular rhythm. And look at the mermaid. Yeah, conscious at him. And very soft, do you think her? It's quite alright. It seems only fair after you shared part of your world with me. Part of your world. I wish to share part of my world with you too. Humans cannot normally descend beneath the ocean's depths, and even if they do, they cannot remain there for very long. You are far too fragile. You have these things called lungs that apparently can get filled with water. It's terrible. How do you live? You can hurt me as long as you do it like yeah, you know, you gotta have a safe word, obviously. And aftercare. Aftercare is very important. Oh, there goes my cape. Would that I could. I would bring you with me to my underwater kingdom, where we might be together. The mermaid's melodic voice trails away, suffused with something resembling melancholia. She sighs. Then she shakes her head and smiles. But this will have to do for the present. Please take good care of the shell. Look at that from time to time and think of me. Aw. That would make me very happy indeed. Is there cake? Well, no. Instead of cake, there's fish. The days pass, following that nightly encounter with your aquatic acquaintance with an almost intolerable slowness. So sushi cake, yeah, exactly. The cake is a lie. You endure the hours of sunlight as best as you can by going for long, bracing walks amidst the heather, foraging for berries and fruits among the hedgerows. You even, when you mustered up enough courage, take an old fishing line uncovered by the fisherman's cottage and try your luck by the shore. Your initial attempts at angling are without success, but as the time passes, your proficiency in the art grows. Soon after you take your rod, you're able to catch the odd fish here and there. Small, scrawny things mostly, but the meat goes a ways to bolstering your rudimentary diet. You teach yourself how to remove the scales of these saltwater fish that you've captured and how to gut them. You learn, too, how to cook them over a simple fire. Sometimes you skewer these fish of yours on spikes and roast them slowly, innards and all. You're able to sustain yourself well enough during the day, though the faint pangs of hunger you experience never quite go away. Your physical discomfort, however, is secondary when compared to your desire to visit the mermaid. You find one shrubbery. Eesh. It's only during the night that the mermaid emerges from beneath the waves, and when she does, you hurry to her side. You've never before had anybody who took so great an interest in you, not until you met the mermaid. That's why she's grown to mean so very much to you. Hungry? Eat more fish. Yes, fish good. And a herring which you might have to chop down a tree with. Give it to the knight. Who says nee? She's the first friend you ever had, but you do not temper your obsession accordingly. But if you do not temper your obsession accordingly, I fear she may very well be your last. I want to be creepy. You care little for the potential danger, however, which lurks beneath your interactions with the mermaid. You want only to show the mermaid how much you do value her. You hope within time that she will come to value you too. Consider loving yourself first. You seem to be quite lacking in that. If you keep seeing her, surely she will stop thinking of her human friend, whom she lost so suddenly. Yes, think only of me, and nobody else. That is your plan, at least. Fortunately, your self-serving wish to grow closer to the mermaid seems close to being granted. Yeah, you know, you gotta... You know, it's that Harvest Moon logic. You keep giving her gifts that she likes, and eventually she'll marry you. It's perfect plan. Your nightly conversations when you greet her come easily enough, with the words tumbling from your mouth like thread. You've grown rather comfortable with the mermaid's company, and she yours. She must have, for it is not long after you bequeath your flower crown to the mermaid that she looks at you, then posits a curious question. I was wondering, dear one, whether you would mind indulging me. I know this might not seem like an appealing proposition, but I thought it would remiss me not to ask. I have seen some of your world, for I have sat on the shore for many, many nights hence. but you have seen nothing of mine. It seems unfair that I should know some of the world that you inhabit, while you know so little of my own. So would you care to come with me beneath the ocean waves? There's much I wish to show you, sights that cannot, I fear, be accurately represented in language alone. Words can be awfully stifling when it comes to the communication of experiences such as this. It is quite the florid speech, but the heart of it beats a simple enough request. Yeah, death. Then your daughter will become a silky. The mermaid wishes to bring you beneath the ocean's surface that she might show you her home. You're flattered initially, but the mermaid wishes to show you something so personal. But after this flutter of flattery, there comes an uncomfortable sense of unease. The mermaid might feel at home beneath the water's surface, but what of you? Death, GG. Yeah, I mean, we seem to be befriending her quite quickly. Enough for her to be like, yeah, let's go under the sea. You're a human girl with 2 awkward, ungainly legs, and you were not made to live under the sea. You frown and mistrustfully you look at the ocean. It's late at night, as it always is when you speak to the mermaid, and the water does not look blue. It appears instead to be obsidian. Waves moan as they break against the rocks, which jut out of the shore like a mighty dragon's bones. They sound angry, violent almost. Salty sea spray arcs through the air caught in the moonlight. It shimmers sharp as knives. Hesitantly, you take a step back. You're a little afraid of the sea. It's so restless, so deep, and so all-consuming it reminds you of a hungry monster. Well, you know, the sea is where most eldritch beings come from, so, not unfounded. You have never submerged yourself beneath the ocean before. You've never had an opportunity. You don't even know how to swim! You're fearful for your own safety should you consent to dive beneath the undulling minusculous of the waves, but... Do not look so frightened, dear one. I will be with you, and I will not let you go. You have my word. Shyly you glance at the mermaid. She's still perched upon her rock, her hands folded neatly upon her. Well, she doesn't have a lap, not really. I mean, I guess you could call her... when she sits like that part of her tail that bends, I guess you could call that a lap, right? You're still afraid, but the mermaid's reassurance does help. Has she not told you numerous times that she is nothing if not honest? You trust her to not break her word. Fish lap. She'll not leave you beneath the waves, abandoning you to a cruel, lonely fate to become food for so many fish. Of that you are certain. That's why, despite all your misgivings, you find yourself nodding your head. If that is what she wants, then you will accompany her. But you can't breathe under the sea. Yeah, it's like, I'd love to see the solution to this. If that's what she wants, then you'll accompany her. You're interested too in what lies beneath the ocean's surface out of sight. Oh, I knew you would agree. Thank you very much for humoring me. I will endeavor to make these next few moments the most memorable you've ever experienced. Now, would you care to come with me? I shall be your guide. The ocean steps might be dark, but I will not let you get away from me. I promise. Like, not gonna let us get away, huh? Not. You want a Silky sequel? That'd be cool. Blap, 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 blap. Then the fish lap, 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 lap. The mermaid extends her hand towards you, a hand which seems to cut through the moonlight, just like a blade. The moon's celestial rays play against the mermaid's upturned palm so that it shimmers. The mermaid's hair, too, is glowing, backlit by Celine's glow so that she almost looks like an angel. Her beauty is such that for a few moments you cannot do anything, neither step towards her nor back away. You feel frozen in place, rooted into sand like some shore-growing tree. You still do not understand why the mermaid has taken such an interest in you, but an old adage does not occur to you. Have you been playing this for an hour now? I like to judge how likely death is now. It's like, we're probably gonna drown. That's my guess. But we'll see. You ought to not look a gift horse in the mouth, or ignore the pleas of a graceful, dignified mermaid. Yeah, I can save again. Like, there was only one dialogue choice in the beginning, but from what I saw, it's one of those ones that probably didn't even matter. You reach out, your arm shaking like the skinny bow of an ancient tree, and find the mermaid's hand with your own. The mermaid's fingers curl about your own, her nails, only now you notice how sharp they are, digging into your skin. Though the mermaid herself looks very soft, her grip is surprisingly strong. You do not think if she willed it, you would be able to get away from her. Oh boy, guys, I think this is like, this is growing increasingly suspicious. 40k fan? No, I've never played Warhammer. I'm more of a World of Darkness and Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I think if she willed it, you would be able to get away from her. But why would you want to? She doesn't mean you any harm. Now let us be on our way. There is much to see in my underwater kingdom. I cannot wait to show it to you. The mermaid turns towards the ocean, as do you. A brief moment passes, one during which you allow yourself to stand there, your hand claimed by the mermaids, as the wind buffets your hair and your skirts. You inhale deeply. The smell of the salt is heavy on the back of your nostrils, so much you could choke on it. Blub blub. It's not a particularly pleasant smell, but you've grown accustomed to it after living in your tumble-down cottage by the shore. It's nostalgic, almost. You have a vague feeling as you stand on the precipice between your world and that of your aquatic companions, that you might never again be able to smell the salt in the air like this. This is a silly supposition, though. You're being foolish. The mermaid will turn you back to the surface in due course, will she not? You hope that she will. You, unlike her, cannot breathe underwater. You open your mouth, meaning to ask the mermaid about this fact, but you are not afforded the opportunity to speak. The mermaid has already shifted, her fingers still twined about yours. She dives forwards, her body slicing to the surface of the water like a knife, and you, inexorably, are dragged along with her. Ah. So that's what we look like. The water rushes forward to meet you in a sudden, shocking rush. Balakor, my brother in Christ. The mermaid's descent might be graceful, but yours is anything but. You do not know how to position your legs, and your limbs feel awfully ungainly. The shock of the water as it touches your skin, meanwhile, is intense. You do not think the water would be this cold. No, it's not just cold. It's freezing. It feels as though all the warmth has been sapped out of your skin. Your head was not already beneath the ocean's wave. You would gasp from it. You do not gasp, however. You cannot. You've already been submerged. Your body no longer feels as though it's your own. Your hair is unspooling behind you like thread, and your skirt is fluttering. Your body rocks to and fro as though being soothed in a mother's arms. Yeah, the music is majestic. It is a curious feeling, but it's not wholly unpleasant. If only it were not so cold down here beneath the ocean's depths, you might find it relaxing. It is dark under the surface of the water, yes, but you have not ventured very far, not yet at least, that the glow of the moon cannot penetrate its depths. Your surroundings are illuminated, though faintly, and thanks to this precious illumination, you can see the schools of fish swimming about you. Yes, keep swimming. Their scales all glisten, as they arc through the waves like rainbows. They do not look like life forms. They appear instead to you fairy tale addled mind to be ancient relics brought to life through some strange arcane sorcery. They are pretty. No, that word is not significant enough. They are beautiful. You do not know, as you stood upon the shore, you did not know how very full of life it was beneath the water surface. Swim. Just keep swimming. You did not know either how very beautiful these aquatic denizens of the deep were. You have never seen fish like these before, not in real life. You have memories, vague, hazy memories, of dissecting a fish once in a particularly gruesome biology lesson. Domovic, thank you for the sub. Welcome, yes, it is yandere time. But it feels like a very long time ago now. Like, so far, we run away from home, come to abandoned village, find pretty mermaid girl, give her flower crown, she give us conch back, and now she's gonna take us to the merland. Probably, unless we drown. You would far rather think on your present than dwell upon the past. But the seconds pass, and as they do, the mermaid continues to swim, leading you deeper and deeper into the ocean's depths. Unconscionable. Yeah. Well, once you were close enough to the surface that the moon's light could still slice through the waves, now it's so very dark you can scarcely see. Your vision's beginning to blur. Oh no! You can feel an uncomfortable pressure weighing down on your inner body. You have descended, you realize, with a ripple of anxiety, too deep. Like, you see any missing submarines while you're down there? Humans were not meant to descend to these depths. The water, once cold, now feels freezing. I'm just reminded of that one, I think it was French, PSA, where it's like you could simulate drowning. It is pretty messed up. Yeah, there's one right next to the Titanic. Yeah, exactly. Allergies. It caresses every inch of your exposed flesh, as if to sap what little warmth you might still possess. You shiver, and when you do, you swear you can hear your teeth chattering, despite the water which stops your ears. The water is stomping up your nostrils. There's so much water down here at the bottom of the ocean. It's endless. The marine might be able to breathe underwater, but you are not so very fortunate. Your body is far less sophisticated than hers, and it requires oxygen with which to furnish your body with continued strength, not salt water. The thought of trying to inhale the endless water which surrounds you makes you shudder. You would rather not attempt it. You don't have gills. When will the mermaid take you back to the surface? Surely she must know you have fast begun to near your limit. You've been under the water for too long, and it's too cold, and it's so dark now in any event you can't see much of anything. It worked in the Abyss movie. Yeah, that was sad. The joy you once felt during your underwater adventure has begun to dissipate, just like the last of the oxygen you still possess. It is time to return to the surface now, but how are you to communicate this to the mermaid? I don't know. Maybe let go? You cannot speak, and she's not looking at you. She's staring dead fixedly at something beyond your comprehension, something far away perhaps in the underwater gloom you cannot see. Not knowing what else to do, you try to pull your arm free from the mermaid's grasp. You hope this will signal to her that she's grown too carried away in her endeavors, that she ought to cut short your expedition and return you to the shore. The mermaid does not react, however, to your attempts to escape her. Her grip does not slacken as you had hoped from about your wrist. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It feels though she's gripping you more tightly than she was, as if to prevent you to escape. But why would she do that? Knew she couldn't be trusted. You tap at the mermaid's shoulder to get her attention, a gesture which prompts her at long last to turn. Her fair hair blows about her, suspended in water like a shroud. Then she says in a calm, measured, incredibly reasonable voice of hers, "Yes, dear one, what is it?" If you could, you would open your mouth to reply to her, but alas, you're a human girl, not a fish, and you cannot speak underwater. Any attempt to do so would accomplish naught save filling your pretty mouth with water. The mermaid really ought to have considered that before she started asking you questions. But your comfort seems to be a little lasting on the mermaid's mind. She smiles at you gently, delicately, and says, "I understand. Being underwater for so long must be beginning to take its toll. Do your lungs feel like iron? Are they heavy?" So she does understand your woes. You might not be able to speak, suspended as you are in the dark, murky depths, but communication is not wholly impossible. You nod your head emphatically. This will be enough to make your distress apparent, but... Yes, that will happen. It's a natural part, or so I heard, of drowning. Not that I've ever had the opportunity to experience for myself. Yeah, gee. I am incapable, you see, of meeting my demise in such a manner. Now, what was that? What could she mean? I mean... The mermaid answers. Can she read minds? That this was a calculated act upon my part. Forgive me, dear one, but the moment you consented to seeking beneath the water with me, your fate was sealed. Your lungs will be flooded with water soon enough. Then you will die. It's not a pretty way to go. You needn't worry about your corpse bloating, disfiguring, being eaten by fish, though. I will take very good care of it. I promise. In death, you will look lovely, almost angelic. Is that not what you always wanted? You do not know what the mermaid thinks it is exactly that you want, but you think she is laboring under some severe misunderstandings. You like to try and correct her. You don't want to die, but of course you can't open your mouth. What a pity. Well, at least it saves me the effort of transcribing her dying pleas. Thanks, narrator. I doubt that would be particularly interesting. Thanks, narrator! Fuck you too. If you want to know why I'm doing this, then I do not mind obliging. I have no secrets to keep from you. Other than the secret perhaps that upon your first meeting she nursed within her cold fish's heart the desire to bring you about your watery murder. You might have liked to know that before you agreed to sink beneath the ocean's surface with her. Note to self, don't trust the mermaid. Yeah, no one saw this coming. What a shock! I am only doing this because I have no choice. The other girl I liked, after all, the one whom I adored, disappeared. She went to get away, and I was never again afforded the opportunity to see her. You remind me of that girl. Though you do not look much alike, you do not act very alike either. But you are both humans who, despite your delicacies, have no shortage of determination. Oh, your kind is able to live with your lifespans are so very short, and you're susceptible to so many varied diseases is a mystery to me. Though my lifespan far eclipses your own, and I am far sturdier, I cannot but marvel at the tenacity of you humans. I know that if I were as fragile as you are, I would not be able to exist in this world. I'd be far too afraid. I would see my own death lurking behind every corner. I'm like... It's like, yeah, well, you know. Just you see your own death looming before you. It's not so very far away now. You can feel it coming closer and closer and closing its cold, icy fingers around your throat. You humans are incredible. I cannot help but respect you, weak and pitiful though you are. She respects your tenacity so very much she wishes to extinguish it? Yeah, that seems kind of backwards, doesn't it? Blurp, blurp, fish food, fish food. That does not make very much sense. Perhaps my words are confusing you, but it makes perfect sense to me at least. My beloved cowherd left me. I do not know where she went or what happened to her. Perhaps she was murdered by bandits. Perhaps she contracted a horrible disease. Perhaps she simply fell and cracked her skull. I do not know. I will never know. For many, many days and many, many nights, her disappearance tormented me. I could not help but wonder how it came about, but there were so many possibilities I could not imagine all of them. This thought terrified me. It still does. That is why I'm going to take you to my Underwonder Kingdom with me. There we can be together forever. Nothing will be able to tear us apart then. I will brush your hair, and I will dress you in the finest pearls found from the bottom of the seabed. It would be lovely. Much, much lovelier than any sort of miserable existence you might be able to eke out above the water. In my citadel, you will never be attacked by bandits, nor ravaged by diseases. You will be quite safe, I promise. Quite safely, yes. And quite dead, too, surely. But yeah, you kind of see the flaw in this plan. And that, we're dead. Well, yes, that is the only unfortunate aspect of my plan. She considers your death nothing more than a mere misfortune. Priorities, ma'am. This mermaid might be surprisingly cold after all. But perhaps you ought to have predicted this. She is part fish. Are fish not cold-blooded like lizards? Probably learned this at some point during biology class, but your lessons are beginning to feel faint and far away now. Your body's beginning to fail you. You cannot take much more of this. It is a necessary sacrifice, though, if we are to be happy. I am doing this, you know, for both of our sakes. How can I be happy if I'm dead? Come on. I do apologize for tricking you, but please try to understand. I really have been lonely. Right, it's been the same thought as a certain submarine. Yeah, right. I've been more inclined to sympathize with her, perhaps if her loneliness was not ushering your inevitable demise. Yeah, right. Death isn't that bad, I guess. At least she'll take good care of your body. Just me and the body. You're too preoccupied with your dwindling reserves of oxygen to feel much in the way of anything for your captor. You can feel the pressure of the water against your eyes. They're beginning to ache. Perhaps you're crying. You do not know. The water masks much of your anguish. You've been drifting underwater for almost 3 minutes. Too bad it's not Guy Wood 3 Brush or whatever his name was, because he could hold it for 10. That was a remarkably long time to go without any air. Your vision's beginning to cloud. Your surroundings already look darker, still unpleasant and obscure, and not at all like the paradise the mermaid promised you. The pain of being suffocated slowly is far stronger and far more oppressive than the sensation of the mermaid's hand wound tightly around about your arm. Is there no escape for you? The prognosis, I am sorry to say, is grim. Your fate, as the mermaid said, really was sealed the moment you met her luxuriating on those rocks beneath the moonlight. Will you forgive me if my sympathy is limited? Thanks, narrator! You bring this upon yourself, you know. Stop victim blaming me, narrator. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions that led to your untimely demise. No, what do you want to do? Accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Ooh. I can make a decision. But before I make that decision, I have to pee. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh, did the game crash? Damn it. Ah! 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 Yes. Yeah, that wound up being more than a number one. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I was trying to avoid the toilet mermaids. But yes, welcome, Cosmic. Good to see you. But yeah, this is what the new point redeem looks like. What is it with these Ren'P games closing whenever I go into OBS? That's why I'm like, good thing I saved. Yes, this is voicemail. Yeah, so to recap what's been going on so far. We run away from home, meet cute mermaid. Mermaid wishes to see farm girl again, who disappeared along with the rest of her village. We befriend mermaid. Mermaid wants to bring us underwater. We agree, and now she's trying to drown us. So yeah. No, it doesn't work with the burbs because boys don't have the titties. Maybe I'll put in a rooster next time instead. Like, I spent so many hours setting this up. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll start by accepting our fate and then go back. We'll diet. Like, yeah, it's a girl exclusive option. Like, yeah, they can. This is a bit of an anticlimactic answer at this juncture of your life story, but I suppose it would be remiss of me to lecture you too much. I'm sure you're well aware of a terrible series of decisions you've made. Though there are other point redeems are compatible, like, I did put Taffy in. There are glasses. Voice mod still works, so, you know. Yeah, I'm not fat. That's why I don't have them. Plus, you know how kitsunes are. It's all illusions. There's no need for me to belabor you at this point. This would be boorish, not to mention tedious. Even the narrator's sick of us. I am rather tired of scolding you. So instead, I think I will content myself with loving you. What, you thought in your death the mermaid was the only one who would be able to coset you? I know I've said it before, but you really are naive. You can't escape me if you are at the bottom of the deepest, darkest ocean. The world might have forsaken you, but I never will. Yes, hugs all around. Domo Bard. Blood for the Blood God? Skulls of the Skull Throne? Happy America Day! Yes, Happy America Day to you too. Cat toy got stuck. If you hear a little bell, that's his toy. I will never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Okay. I guess that's the first ending, or something. So now we'll fight. Ah, I like that look on your face. It's a look full of determination, the self-same determination which first prompted me to take an interest in you. I could tell that you're not happy with this ending. I did not come all this way after all to drown. Quite the indecorous demise, regardless of how many fine stones and shells the mermaid means to twine through your hair after your death. If you wish to carve out a new story for yourself, then I would be only too happy to indulge you. Just try not to get on the bad side. Or the good side of any homicidal naiads this time. The drowning of fair maidens is something of a cliche. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Ah, I see. Now we get to go somewhere else. Village. You want to go to the village? Good idea. Let us see what further trials await you there. This night is far from over, as such you might wish it was, and there's still much more to discover. Wonder what'll happen next. Women with swords and bodies of water declaring who's king. Yeah, it's like, who came up with that political system? Taffy, he's being a shitty boy. He craves the violence. Yeah, I guess it kind of starts you over. So we'll see where we go next. You follow the path which leads to the village, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready at a moment's notice to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. So the soles of your feet are screaming at you. No wonder. Eh. That's autoplay. Ah. You hope as you continue to run, you'll find a suitable place. Residents wish to rest at the village. You don't know what will await you at the village, but you'll have visions as you run of quaint scenic settlement, all thatched cottages with slopping roofs. Sure, there'll be a kindly peasant who will be willing to put up a young runaway for a few nights. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. Yeah, instead of taking away a cape, it takes away my headphones. So no more headphones. Look at me, I'm a cute fox boy. I got piercings on my ears. I'm so cute. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy... Yeah, I read that. She'll be broad and shouldered and ruddy-faced with dull brown hair crammed beneath a cap. Her arms will be sturdy from many years of washing clothes and milking cows, but she'll be kind to you and compassionate, just like a mother. Don't know what mothers are like. You hardly ever spoke to yours. Pat, pat. Yeah, cute boy smell Lumi is cute. Dang. The ears are still fake even as a boy, though. Exactly. You know. Because it's like, I can use my kid's innate powers to hide my ears and tail. Like so. So if I gotta disguise myself as a human, I can do that. Quite convenient. But because I'm very forgetful, I just keep the human ears on out of convenience. Because, you know, humans are like, where are your ears? Ah! Why is the circumcision redeem so cheap? I don't know. I couldn't, it's like, I went based off Rule 63. That old internet meme. But I can always raise it. But I haven't seen anyone abuse it yet, so I'm only gonna raise it if people abuse it. You're only guessing. You're not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Peasants do not, as you know from your voracious reading, have much money nor much food. It might be hard to convince a resident of the village, even the kindly washerwoman of your fantasies, to take in a complete stranger. Still, you must try. That's all you can do, really. So you run to the village. It takes some time before you can finally emerge from the woods, but finally you manage it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. Turn whack in the snip and it'd be funnier. It's a reference to a Judge Judy meme. Whack is pee-pee. You prefer girl mode, but you're gonna give him 20 minutes before I turn back. Alright. Like, that's your decision. The forest behind you, at least, and all, yeah. It's still cold, though, and still foggy. It's still dark, too. The sun is yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the village, nestled among the hills like a diorama. Hope anew bubbles within you. Yeah, both are cute. You finally made it. Surely not, but your salvation awaits you. You follow the winding dirt path to the village, looking this way and that. But your hope such a precious, fragile thing soon begins to fade. Delta Close does not look half as welcoming as you imagined. There are cottages, yes, but they are in a state of disrepair. There are holes in the roofs and holes in the windows, just like that shack we found in the other area. Most of the doors are tightly shut, but others are gaping open. The kitchens beyond them even darker than the night sky which shrouds you. There are no lights on in any of the windows, and neither can you see any people. Insomniacs like you at them. Couldn't hear anything either beyond the sound of your own footsteps and the low, mournful sighing of the wind. The village is quite quiet, eerily so. It's meaning obvious, even to a naive girl as yourself, that something terrible must have befallen this village. Like, gee, I wonder what it could be about. You know before you try your luck at one of the houses that nobody will answer you. We know kindly, red-armed washerwoman to welcome you here no matter how much you wish for it. But that's not stop you from wishing regardless. Your knuckles rap smartly against the wooden door. Your efforts soon prove, however, to be in vain. There's nobody here to hear your entreaties. Daffy, you're being a butthead. Daffy, stop being a butthead. How very sad. Does Pet Cat work with model? Yes. So it's a little limited, but like I can't hold him in my hands. Instead, I get game controller. Yep, see, there he is. Try another door to another, but the result is the same, regardless of how many doors you rap upon. Yeah, instead of me holding him, he just peeks from behind my shoulder and then disappears. Nobody answers you. How could they? There's nobody here. Once again, you found yourself alone. At least you found some dwellings in which you can rest your weary head. Will you utilize one of these cottages for your purposes? Nobody's here. You might as well. But no, an abandoned cottage is not what you were looking for. You would far rather have companionship, would you not? Like, I mean, I guess. Bravely, you swallow your tears, you wipe your eyes with the back of your arm in a well-practiced motion, then inhale. You square your shoulders and you keep on going. Sure, the village cannot be completely deserted. Like someone just completely wiped it out. Rawr! Yeah, he watches over your shoulder with murderous intent. Exactly. There must be one person here at the very least who can help you. That's what you're thinking as you resume your search. You flit from cottage to cottage with precious little to show your determination, yet you make yet another discovery. This village with its squat thatched cottages bathed in the moon's glow has a church. Well, of course it has a church. The villagers who once dwelt here were not godless heathens. Not that their faith did them all that much good in the end. Still, the sight of the church soothes your overtaxed heart. You're so focused in your fantasies of a kindly washerwoman taking you in, you did not pause to entertain the fancy of a kindly nun doing much the same. All hope is not lost. You approach the church, which seems to tower over you despite being so humble. The church is a small one, but it's stout and sturdy, it must be, for it has withstood centuries, forever standing sentinel on its hill like a relic from a bygone era. The church does not have any stained glass windows, but it does not need them. With more luxurious trappings, the church still exudes an aura of dignified solemnity. The stone buildings is fringed by a sizable graveyard, one which occupies the rest of the hilltop, and some of its sloping sides. Rawr, rawr. You can find nuns in the village churches. MC is a dum-dum. Yeah! Like you know nothing, MC. The graves which have been planted by generations of wardens are hewn with a similar stone of that which the church walls are made of. Some of the gravestones are shaped like lozenges, while others are shaped like crosses. A handful of headstones are shaped like angels, though these are few and far between. MC big dumb energy. Yeah. Where do you find them? Find what? The handful of headstones are shaped like angels, though these are few and far between. There are very few people in a village such as this one who can afford such a luxurious final resting place. Look at the tombstones with an almost childlike curiosity. forgetting in your examination of the visceral, heart-rending fear which gripped you as you ran through the forest. You're out of the woods now, and you have subconsciously already begun to relax. You try to read the names honed into the myriad tombstones, but it's dark and you are tired, and some of these graves are very, very old indeed. You strain your eyes, but you do not have much luck in this endeavor. Oh well. Such superfluous details are not important. You eventually tire of examining the graves in turn. This grave is an expansive one. Unusually so, given the village itself is so small. How could it boast so many corpses? And there's so much to explore. You walk around about the perimeter of the church, casting your gaze first here, then there, then everywhere. Consumed as you are by your immense, all-encompassing curiosity. As you do, you see her. She looks like an ordinary girl, small and scrawny, just like yourself, but she is much, much more than her unremarkable appearance might suggest. For some moments you observe her, hiding all the while in the shadow cast by the church, like a furtive lizard clinging against a rocky edifice to shroud itself from the sun. There's no sunlight here, though. Yeah, it looks like a grave robber? Grave digger? I don't know. There's only the night sky, the stars, and the moon. Beneath the moon's light, a silvery implement of the girl is clutching shimmers. It takes you a few moments to see what it is that the girl's clutching in her hands. Not until you see her manipulate it, its sharp edge biting into the earth, that you understand. It's a shovel. Like, even her hairpins look like shovel handles. This girl is standing in an isolated corner of the churchyard, late at night, and she's digging a grave. Wow! Monasteries. Ah. Oh, that's where you find nuns. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You suppose she could always be digging a hole for the sake of it, but her work seems too precise for this to be the result of mere whimsy. It's hard for you to see her face given the distance between the pair of you, but her posture is one that speaks of supreme concentration. She moves slowly, mechanically, like a woman on a mission, driving the end of her shovel into the earth over and over. Her motions are regular enough to be repetitive. There's something hypnotic almost in the manner in which she attends to this task. Should you risk interrupting her? You dare? You get the feeling she would not appreciate it. The shovel in her hands, meanwhile, is rather hefty. If she wished it, she could cause you no small amount of damage with it. Cold anxiety makes your skin prickle. Not know if you should risk speaking to her when she in her dark cloak with her shovel looks so very strange. What do you have to lose, other than your life? You've come this far. If you follow to turn back now, it's with this thought in your mind you decide to approach the strange girl. Your footsteps are quiet. You've grown accustomed to slinking around like a cat. They're not quiet enough. Girl's senses must be finely tuned because she blinks. Then she turns. Your eyes meet, and once you do, you feel your breath catch in your throat. You do not have a clear view of the girl before, concealed as you were in the shadows, but now she's looking at you. You can tell she is pretty. Ah. Her skin is very smooth, and her hair, though obscured by a dark hood, is very fair. Her eyes, meanwhile, are clear, cool blue like ice. Those eyes of hers, which are large with unease, are fringed with very long, fair eyelashes. She looks as though she's stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong in this world. Perhaps she's some kind of vision? A waking dream? A hallucination? But no, she's none of those things. The shovel she's clutching in her hands looks solid enough. Its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight. You steel yourself, expecting perhaps some sort of outburst. But the tension soon drains from the girl's slender shoulders. Her fingers, which were gripping the handle of her shovel, tightly relax. Her lips curve upwards at the edges. She's smiling, and what a smile it is! It's transformative. When she smiles, she looks radiant, angelic almost. Hers is a smile that is so suffused with light that your eyes begin to prickle from it. You're so relieved you almost feel like you could cry. That'll be the first time you wept during the night, and neither would be too surprising if you did. You've been through a lot. You must be exhausted. The girl holding the shovel seems to realize this, because she bridges the distance between you cautiously, as one might approach a skittish cat. Then she says in a rough voice which does not match her dainty appearance, "Well, she does live in a rural village. What were you expecting?" "Oh, it's so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only person left alive, the only one in the whole world." Well, this is quite definite. There's that word again. Effusive greeting. Her introductory speech is riddled with exclamation marks. She's not more personal than her apparel would make one suggest. You, a well-bred young lady, cannot help but feel overwhelmed. It's your turn to be on guard. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shelf and you ask her what she means. That's enough boy smell, alright. Back to normal. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shovel and you ask her what she means. What happened? Oh, do you not know? An awful lot you don't know much, in fact. Did fill an encyclopedia. No, a whole library. Shake your head, ashamed of your ignorance, and the girl frowns. You must be from around these parts. I guess I should have known. This village is a small one, everyone knows everyone else. The girl's expression falls. Come on, Throat. At least they used to. Back when there was still people to know. That ain't the case now, though. Not after the plague. There was a plague? That certainly explained why the village, when you walked through it, was so quiet. Yeah. Allergies, reading. Not a fun combination. There we go, I got some water. Did everyone else succumb to this mysterious illness? That's right, it's just me now. Not seen another human being in a long, long time. It gets so lonely here. Up, there's the title again. Yes, Petty Kitty. Now that's an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the girl takes a step towards you. Oh, where are my manners? They must have gone rusty after being on my own for so long. My apologies, miss. You look like you've come a long way. You said you were a traveler, yes? Your hands are very cold, just like ice. Would you like to come inside? Maybe you have something warm to eat, to drink? My home's small, I'm afraid, and my food ain't nothing fancy, but I'd be more than willing to share. Not every day another girl stops by, especially not one as pretty as yourself. I'm feeling very blessed. Blessed. Girl laughs, a carefree, airy sort of laugh which does not match with your initial impression of her. You thought when you saw her amongst the graves that she would be more distant somehow, more mysterious. Perhaps you're mixing her up with somebody else. You're still unsure if you can trust this girl. But her invitation is an appealing one. So, much more appealing, certainly, than spending the night outdoors in the cold, kipping on graves. What are you, a romantic poet? Yeah, right, with all this flowery language. Please. You make a show of pondering the girl's invitation. At the very least, you don't want to appear too eager. But your acquaintances is, alas, an inevitability. You make a show of pondering the girl's invitation at the very least. Yeah. Why would you ever refuse her? She's the first friendly face you've seen all night. Without her, you would be all alone. Like, I guess. Made a pizza at home a few days ago, by the way. Oh, cool. How'd it turn out? Was it good? Was it yummy? Yosis leads you to a small, humble home located but a stone's throw away from the church, built in the shadows of a twisted, towering sycamore. The girl's home is such a state that seems a folly to even call it a home. Well, yeah, there's no one here to keep up the maintenance. However, would you to be more appropriate descriptor? Blech. When your hostess leads you inside, her eyes alive, and she says, "Here we are, home sweet home." You don't have the heart to tell her that you don't find her home very homely or sweet. That would be incredibly rude. As a guest, you ought to be more appreciative. Half-heartedly look around your newfound surroundings. The ceiling is supported by wooden joists and is imperatively low, not so much that you're in danger of bumping your head, but just enough to feel claustrophobic. There's a fire in the corner, though not coincide to a grate. It was overall really nice. Well, then, at least you'll learn something for next time, but at least this time it came out good. Above the fire hangs a silvery pot suspended from one of the wooden eaves. Other objects of interest are hung from the eaves. Iron implements you take to be cooking utensils, various herbs and strips of meat left to cure. The smell of cooking fills the air, mingled with the sharp, sour scent of unwashed bodies. Yep, exactly. How do you wonder does your hostess clean herself? You don't see a bathtub anywhere. Perhaps she doesn't have one. The girl's home is unremarkable in every regard, but it is, you suppose, better than nothing. At least there's a roof over your head and food to put in your belly. The girl looks to the pot suspended over the fire, which she gives a stir with a ladle. Then she brings the ladle to lips to taste whatever concoction she has brewing within it. You only hope she's not like the weird sisters from that famous play, brewing a broth of fanny snake fillets. Yeah, I think this is about done, the girl says to nobody in particular. She sets the ladle down back into the pot, then looks at you and smiles. Did you want something? Looks as though you've come quite the long way and you must be hungry. Those words are like music to your ears, even more divine than the trumpets of God's most loyal angels. You're so hungry you could eat a horse. Not there are any horses in the immediate vicinity. Express your interest to your hostess, who smiles in response. I thought you liked the sound of that. Just give me a few moments. The hostess retrieves 2 earthen bowls from a cupboard with rickety hinges, into which she pours 2 hefty helpings of whatever it is she's cooking. This she serves with bread, which is so hefty it could be used as a murder weapon. It's not much, I'm afraid. It's only soup and bread. It could take the edge off your appetite, though. And thank your hostess for her hospitality, your stomach grumbling all the while. The soup does not look like anything you would typically consume, but the soup's poor presentation does not dissuade you. Hunger's the best spice. It's true enough that people eat first with their eyes, but when one is hungry enough, one becomes obliging enough to eat almost anything. Why else would you think that people who strand upon the desert islands would resort to cannibalism? Humans are creatures of necessity. You like to wrap yourselves up in pretensions, but in actuality, you're not much better than animals. You're so hungry your stomach is aching empty that you certainly descend upon your food like an animal. Your teeth glint with your incisors gleam, and soon you have consumed all that your host has offered you. Your hostess watches while you eat, and she giggles once you have finished. Did you enjoy that? Oh, you catch your hostess' gaze, suddenly abashed. So hungry you failed to account for her judgment. Now you have some food in your belly, though, and you've been suitably warmed, your old consciousness is returning. Did you not make a fool out of yourself? Your long pig is tasty. You demur shyly, looking at your lap, fearful all the while of what your hostess might think of you. You do not want her to think against you. Fortunately for you, however, and for your fragile ego, your hostess is not the judgmental sort. She's not like the girls you grew up with. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. I know I'm not the best, and I've been practicing for a long while. I used to cook for my father all the time, you see. This remark catches your attention. Quizzically, you look at your hostess, your abashment over your animalistic eating habits suspended. What happened to her father? It seems a grim thing to contemplate after having eaten, but... Didn't your hostess mention something about a plague? Yes, your hostess says, her voice soft now and serious. That's right, there was a plague. What of the villagers? What of her father? They're all gone now. Gone? Yeah, you see. Your hostess rearranges herself upon her chair, one slender leg folded over the other. Then she begins her tale in earnest. My family has a history. We've lived here for centuries by the church, so as we tend to the graveyard. Ah, so this abode is centuries old then. That would certainly explain the dirt. My father used to prepare bodies for burial back when he was alive. He built the coffins and he dug the graves and he lowered the coffins into the dirt. I know it might sound like an awful job, but somebody's got to do it. There's no sense averting our eyes from death, not when it happens to the best of us. It's a noble profession, one that's been handed down in our family for generations. My father's father was a gravedigger, and so was my father's father's father, and my father's 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 father. Thinking graves is in our blood. It's who we are. My. That was a surprisingly pretty speech coming from a girl who lives in the countryside. A girl who has not much in the way of education. It's apparent, just to listen to her and the way she slurs her syllables together, that she never had any elocution lessons not like you. There's a determination, however, to her and a pride in her theology which gives her a respectable aura. You cannot help but be impressed. So you ask your hostess, does that make her one in a long line of gravediggers? Yes, your hostess, the gravedigger, says. That's about right, though I never supposed to be a gravedigger myself. It's not a woman's profession, that's what everyone says. My father didn't mind that, though. He taught me everything he knew, and then some. I might be a woman, but I've plenty of upper body strength. I could dig a grave just as well as my father could without breaking a sweat. The spirit of my mother up in heaven, I'm sure. Sure, if she was still alive, she'd rather I focus on more feminine pursuits like weaving a basket or sewing to better attract a suitor. None would do much good now. There's nobody around to court me, not for miles and miles. And what happened to her mother? She died when I was very young during childbirth. I was only 5 years old. Oh, well. You grew later, at least upon this point. Your parents are not dead, at least not as far as you're aware, but you've not seen them in an awfully long time. And then some, he taught her things you didn't know? Who knows? He sent you away as soon as you were old enough they never once bothered to check up on you. For many years there have been no letters nor any visits. You offer the gravedigger your condolences. You don't know if they will help, but you feel like you cannot say nothing. That would seem harmless. Gravedigger, however, does not seem too upset by this turn of events because she smiles, albeit somberly. It's alright, it was ages ago. I don't remember her too well, and I never really had the luxury of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I had too much work to do. Around the house, you ask? That too. I was the oldest child, so was my job after my mother died, to manage the sweeping and the cooking. Oh, looking after all my siblings too. You blink, intrigued, and glance about your hostess's humble lodgings. You don't see any siblings in the immediate vicinity. Where could they be? Gravedigger must have noticed your roving eyes. You're not being exactly subtle, but she shakes her head. I had siblings. 2 younger brothers. They're both gone now. Oh, you should have known. You apologize to the gravedigger for your lack of tact, but she does not seem upset by this faux pas. Don't apologize, it's not your fault. Brothers were along for this world anyway. The youngest, he still died when he was a babe, and the oldest, he died before he reached double digits. I was upset at the time, of course, but I've come to terms with it. Life's a fleeting thing in this wicked old world. That's something you learn in this trade. Digging graves, I mean. I've dug graves for the elderly and the infirm. I've also dug graves for young babes still in their swaddling clothes. Depressing. That's the nature of death. It comes for us all in the end, no matter how old we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good or bad we've been. It's the great equalizer. Or so I've heard. A chill creeps down your spine as you listen to your hostess's speech. She's not wrong, but the inherent morality of all humankind is not something you wish to contemplate. It is too disturbing. For the longest time, my family was a small one. It's just like my father and me, but that was fine. It was how I liked it. I was very happy, even if our lives weren't the best. There aren't any fancy clothes to wear, and can't dine on the finest foods. In the grand scheme of things, we ain't anything that special, and I've always felt otherwise. Thought I was blessed. New hardship, of course, and famine. That's just the way life is around here. When food supplies were low, we always helped one another out. Is she a yandere? Probably. It's like the mermaid was a yandere, and now we meet this girl, and she's probably gonna be a yandere too. Like, I realized, considering how long that mermaid route was, and there's 3 routes, I don't see myself finishing this game today, unfortunately, but that's fine. I could just pick it up another time. But we'll keep going as far as we can. At least he did. Until the plague happened. If she had mentioned a plague, you've been wondering where she was going to return to that topic. You suppose that the plague is the reason the village as you traversed it was so very empty. You'd suppose right. The plague tore through the village. I don't remember when. It feels like it was a while ago, but maybe it wasn't that long after all. I feel like I've been on my own for centuries, but... Your hostess' eyes begin to cloud over. It looks as though she's entrenched within her own memories. What could she be remembering? You've never seen a plague before, though you have heard of them in your history lessons. Your history professor was quite enthusiastic about the subject. He talked about piles of dead bodies stacked up on the streets and stacked in the wooden carts come to take them away with no shortage of aplomb. She was a strange woman, your history professor. The plague came on very suddenly. There was no warning. One day everyone was fine, and then the next, they were all dead. This was no small amount of anxiety you eyed the gravedigger. Then you ask worriedly, surely they could not have all died? Is that not an exaggeration? Oh, if only. I wish I was exaggerating, but it's the truth. The honest to God. People in the village died one after the other just like that. Thought that the plague does to the people firsthand. My father was one of the first people who got it. I think one of the bodies which came through every bird must have had it. Not to know for certain, I'm just guessing still. But I didn't have any time of it. His skin turned all gray and clammy, complained of a horrible fever. There were night sweats and stomach cramps. And then there were the boils. The boils? Pustules. They were the size of eggs and they were full of pus. When they burst, it stunk. The whole house was full of it. The stink of death. That sounds disgusting. Wise woman of the village came to see if she could be of any use. It's no good. My father was too far gone already. She took one look at him lying on his deathbed and she shook her head. She said she didn't want to get any closer. I can't say I blame her. It was a ghastly sight. I didn't appreciate it at the time, though. It felt like she was turning her back on us. I wished her ill. I remember that after she left. Until a few days passed, she fell sick too. Then I felt bad for cursing her. I couldn't help but worry if it was all my fault. It's silly, I know, but... Grey Digger closes her eyes. She seems to squeeze her eyelids together until her lashes melt like flecks of fallen snow. Her shoulders, which are very slender, are shaking. She looks as though she might at any moment fall apart. It wasn't long after that the rest of the village fell ill. They all had the same symptoms as my father. Clammy skin and the fever and the boils. The boils grew and they burst and they died in screaming, stinking agony. My father died too, only 3 days after he fell ill, but I think even that was 3 days too many. I didn't want my father to die, of course. I did everything I could to help him, but it was all pointless. None of my herbal salves had any impact. If Madame curses were real and you could actually make bad things happen by hoping for it, there wouldn't be any people left. I know, right? Could make a blind bit of difference. All I did was stand by his bedside, tell him be alright. Till his eyes sank into his skull like 2 black stones and his mouth dried out. During the last day before he died, he might have been a corpse already. He didn't look at me, he didn't speak at me, he just lay in bed with his eyes closed, groaning. Never wished any ill on my father before, but during those moments Gravedigger squeezes her hands, reaching upon her black-clad lap into fists. She trembles. Then in a voice throbbing with awful emotion, says, I wish he just died. Well, that's rough, buddy. Based on her antidote, it doesn't sound like she had an overly long to wait. 3 days! It took 3 days to die. Here, I'll check my posture. Won't you would consider that a silver lining? No, perhaps not. The gravedigger is still shaking. She will not cry, will she? You hope not. Awkwardly, you look at the gravedigger. You're not sure how to soothe her, but you know you must make some sort of effort, even if it is a token one. You shift upon your chair, which feels very cold and hard beneath your thighs. Did you say very softly that you are sorry? Not much, but is all you can think of saying. You thought initially that your situation was comparable to that of the gravedigger, but now you can see that's not the case. Her suffering has far outstripped your own. Not that suffering is a competition, of course. Your apology feels inadequate to your ears, largely because it is. The gravedigger seems not to mind it. She's very big-hearted, that girl. Smudgy so, no matter how foolish you might be. Ah. Yeah, no more shrimping. Comfort her with makeouts. Yeah, we'll get there. Oh, again with the apologies. It's alright, like I said. You didn't cause any of this. I'm not upset at you. I'm just recounting what happened, that's all. No wonder, though, why I never fell sick myself. I thought I was going to die, so I already prepared for the Reaper to come and take me away. But maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe he'd already satiated his appetite on all the others. That or maybe he thought he'd have to leave me alive for practicality's sake. My father gone, who would tend to the dead? I was the only person left by the end of it all, so I had to bury the people in the village. What is my situation? Like in the game? So in the game, basically we ran away from school because people were mean to us and were like pointing and laughing at us. And as we were just aimlessly wandering through the woods, we have the 3 branching choices. And the first one, you know, we got drowned by the mermaid, and now we're here with the gravedigger. That's the long and the short of it. And it seems like it's like the mermaid was like, wow, there was this cowgirl I was in love with, and I don't know where she ran off to. And now we know the answer. She probably died from the plague. So it's all connected, I'm sure. They're all resting peacefully now on the earth where the plague can't reach them. On the other hand, I'm happy for them. They were able to escape from all this suffering. When I think about all the people I've lost, though. The gravedigger tenses. Then she sniffs. When I think about the kindly washerwoman who helped me scrub the mud and the dirt from my clothes. Ah, so this village did have its fair share of washerwomen after all. It would seem your early instance upon this particular point was not without merit. Yeah, I think the gravedigger has it worse than you at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, there was some... They called it a cowherd. But she was like a girl on some farm that would meet this mermaid girl. And then she disappeared one day and the mermaid's like, I don't know where she went. And it's like, I think we know where she went. She died. Like female cowboy or anime cowgirl? Female cowboy. Handsome young farmhands who used to flirt with me. Priests who preached at the church who told us wonderful tales of paradise. And the children who would skip stoned on the lake and play hopscotch on the streets. I can't help but feel so lonely. The gravedigger's eyes begin to shine. When she finished her address with tears, she does not let them fall. You're very brave, much more so than you are. Actually, you extend a hand towards her, meaning to... what? Give her a hug? I mean, hugs are nice. Yeah, why not give her a hug? True, it could have been either. I understand the confusion. You do not know her well enough. Pat her head? That would be infantilizing. Squeeze her hands? Perhaps it would be misconstrued as a romantic overture, and that is the last thing you want. You endured more than your fair share of teasing over that. You stand there for a few moments, paralyzed by indecision, and the gravedigger poorly suppresses her sniffles. In the end, you let your arm drop back to your side, your hand rest upon your lap, as useful as damp kindling. You do not know what to do with it. You do know that you ought to say something, though, to show that you heard her plight and that you care. You don't know what it is something could be, however. No words could ever console the gravedigger. They would never be enough. Domo Boozwash, welcome! How you doing? Good to see you. I think we're playing fairytale yandere game today. Much spooky. Almost died from mermaid. She drowned us. They can offer some balm, however, to be bereaved, and so, after a pause just long enough to be awkward, you offer your condolences. What else can you say? Oh no, the gravedigger replies, wiping a few stray tears away with the back of her arm. It's alright. I've grown used to it, really, being on my own. I mean, it ain't so bad, really. Yeah, we did kind of die, but it's like we were, like, brought back to the original path. No, she didn't. She did say, that she had no idea where the girl went. Like, she literally had no idea where the girl went. The reason why she drowned us is because she wanted to use us as a replacement for the girl. I'm not lonely now, at least. I met you. You'll keep me company, won't you? Forever? Well, what can you say to that? You aren't callous enough to trample this poor girl's hopes, are you? You know full well yourself how awful that feels. You nothing but nod, a response which makes the girl smile more widely still. Like, nah, she wasn't lying. She even said outright she doesn't lie. She did manipulate the truth to trick us into going in the water with her, but that's as far as it went. That's wonderful. I know you're just a traveler who's passing through, but I can offer you bread and board till you leave. I have food enough in a spare bedroom. I can make it up to you for you right now. It's like, I'm pretty convinced that the cowgirl died from this disease that she's talking about. But we'll find more as we go along. Once you're tired from your long journey, just give me a moment. A liar would never say she lies. I guess you have a point there. But she's a mermaid. She's not a person. Who knows? The gravedigger arrives to her feet in a flurry of excitement, then retreats. You watch as she departs, a little too eager to please and frown. The girl's home is a small, humble one with a low ceiling and slanted walls. You cannot imagine a small dwelling possessing a spare bedroom. The so-called spare bedroom is, in all likelihood, the room her father slept in before the plague carried him off. You don't think you would much like to spend the night in the room of a dead man, but what choice do you have? You are tired, wretchedly so. Why it's all you can do to keep your eyes open. While you were running through the forest, desperate to escape your pursuer, you had no thought in your mind behind finding some safe sanctuary which you could recuperate. And you found said sanctuary. Be unreasonable to find faults in a thing. You have to learn to be more thankful for what you have. There are many, many people in the world with less. You rise and follow the gravedigger once she has finished her preparations to her so-called spare bedroom, which is every bit as cramped as you feared it would be. At least there's a bed, which comes with something of a relief. The rest of the lodgings are so humble you were half expecting a straw pallet. Tired you might be, you cannot lie to yourself. You have no desire to sleep among the hay like an animal. Huh, funny, because that's what you did in the last route. That's what... That has not been answered, who the pursuers are. We can speculate that they might be the bullies, but we don't know. The sheets of the bed are clean too, in fact. A fact you discern with a cursory glance. Like maybe we were running from another yandere. I don't know. Maybe we're just a yandere magnet. So you'll not be expected to sleep upon the sweat-soaked linen of a plague-ridden man after all. This really is your lucky day. I got this for you too, the gravedigger says somewhat shyly as she hands you a folded gown. Sleep in, I thought it might come in handy. Your clothes are, a little bit shabby. If you could say that again, your skirt is covered with mud and the hem is torn and ragged. This nightgown is one of my old ones, so it's suffered a bit of wear and tear, but I hope it'll fit alright. Clean if nothing else. You accept the nightgown from your benefactress with words of thanks. You want to sound appropriately appreciative, but you cannot mask your fatigue. Weariness overcomes you and you yawn. Yeah. The fact that the gravedigger does not fail to notice. Oh, I beg your pardon. I want to keep you. I'll be masking myself scarce. If you need anything, though, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be happy to help. It's like, yes, I do default to a country voice as soon as they have the character using country words. It just happens. The gravedigger bows her head, you like a drudge, then hurries off, closing the door behind her with a thud. Tired though you are, you find that you rather miss your hostess's company. In the face of her good-natured smiles, you'd almost forget all of the hardships you have hitherto endured. This game likes to use big words. I don't like it. The game itself is good, though. Just the words I don't like. Too big. In her absence, however, your lodging feels almost unbearably cold and inhospitable. You suppress a shudder, then unclothe yourself. Work as quickly as you're able. But your fingers are cold and they fumble with the buttons of your blouse. It takes you more than enough time to complete this endeavor, but you soon have your shirt and skirt to dispense with. You're too tired to fold them neatly, so you don't bother to fold them at all. Instead, you cast them carelessly upon the floor, as defiant as a sulky child, and then put on your new nightgown. Hitherto means until now, just the same number of letters. I guess. It's still a big word. Like, put that on the SATs. Your hostess's earlier warnings were apt enough. It is quite worn, but it fits well enough. It's more comfortable, at least, in your old uniform. You've endured worse. When you dress and ready for bed, you loosen your hair from your braids and settle down among the sheets. With a sigh, you extinguish the wick flickering candlelight which burns your bedside, and with another side, you lay your head down upon your pillow. Ask her to speak a fewer syllables then. Yeah, like, fewer syllables, please. Though physically exhausted, you have to wonder whether you'll be able to sleep at all. You recall your previous dash through the forest in such vivid detail, your heart's still pounding. That fear is yet to leave you. Perhaps it'll never leave you. Your terror was as such, it almost feels as though it was suffused itself into your bones, into your very being. But your exhaustion is greater than your worldly anxieties, and soon it claims you. Your eyelids fall shut and your breathing inevitably begins to even out. It's not long until you are spiraling through a deep dark abyss, lost in Morpheus's kingdom. But your sleep, despite your wearied state, is not as restorative as you had hoped. Yeah, you're right, it does have a space in it. Domo Hikaru, welcome! I'm good, how are you doing? We're playing Fairytale Yandere game. Like, so far we were drowned by a mermaid, and now we're hanging out with a grave digger who's all alone because the plague wiped out everybody, and she's the only one left, and it's very sad. Your imagination's always been overactive. At the conservatoire, you were frequently beset by dreams of the most vivid nature. Dreams you have this night, lying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed, are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you're back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You were wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded and your gray, unremarkable skirt. Your hair is tied in braids and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. Like, no, don't take away her head pats. Nice. Yeah, it is nice. So far, it's very interesting, and I think it's like there's 3 different routes, and I get the feeling they're all gonna tie together. Like, the mermaid was talking about a cowgirl she was in love with, and then the grave digger was talking about people dying from a plague, so I think the cowgirl probably died from the plague. That's just a theory, though. A game theory! You tried not to look at your classmates, and you thought yourself fortunate they did not look at you in return. You didn't want anyone to notice you. So that awful winter, that is, where everyone stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past them in the hallways. Nobody, in fact, so much as glanced at you. All of a sudden, there's no malicious whispers, no wicked laughter, no pulled hair or thrown objects. You were giddy with relief at first over this newfound means of tormenting you that your classmates had despised, but this little game, the head of complete and utter disregard, continued on and on and on as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as to the state of your own corporeality. Like, yes, say hi to everybody. Yay. Could anyone still see you? You would exist at all? Invisible? Then at long last you found, quite by accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls that erected in the forest, through which you were sometimes Joe Biden? To jog for PE class beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. It was a makeshift tombstone, a small meager monument made of stone upon which one of your classmates had honed a name. Your name? The fuck? That's messed up! You knew at once as you stood there standing beneath the shade of the ancient tree that this was the reason behind your classmates' silence. That is why they had for many months been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their hearts, you had already died. Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you had anticipated. When you wake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Your heart is aching. It is nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. Hot tea? Are you a ghost? I don't know, maybe. I mean, this gravedigger can see us perfectly fine. The mermaid was able to see us perfectly fine. It could just be a form of bullying, because that is, like, in Japan, for example, when a classmate dies, you put, like, a vase with a flower in it as, like, a little, as a way to, like, as, like, a little tribute to them. But that can be used as a form of bullying. Like, if the classmate's clearly still alive, but they walk to their desk at school and they see the flower there, and it's like their classmate's basically telling them that they're dead. Like, it's really messed up. Yeah, White Billy. Yeah, the yandere's got you. Yeah, we'll see what this gravedigger does to us. She's probably gonna. It's like, I have an idea what she's gonna do to us, but we shall see. You stumble into the kitchen in your nightclothes and your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims in the manner of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them. Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe you need something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast. That's exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite the simple affair, nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on it, and the cheese is a bit too strong. It's less you're dead to us and more we wish we were dead. Yeah, basically. That's more or less how you can interpret it. It is food all the same though, and you don't complain. Your stomach is beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive at least, and you drink it graciously. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles and you return, a sunny smile like a field of blooming bellflowers. What you should do to those schoolboys is suddenly change schools and tell nobody. Yeah, that would be the easy method. I have an insider tell you about their reactions. High schools are a little more complicated in Japan, though. That much I know, but it is. It's like it's not as easy as it is in like other countries. Like I think you have to like apply to a high school like you would with a college. Like it's one of those kind of things. And being how the culture is, that might be perceived as being a burden or inconvenient if you go through all that effort to change schools just because someone's being mean to you. You know what I mean? Like, people might think of it that way. No problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else, she says, words which come to symbolize your relationship. You stay with the Great Difficulty for I don't know what happened there. You stay with the Great Difficulty for many, many more days, and limited though her means might be, she tries to help you. You need to apply for college. I just filled out the form and turned up. I was like, is that how Scottish schools work? How nice. Can't relate. Gravedigger said you chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you're grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You almost forget about it now during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you're assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you wake after midnight, the sheets twisted around your body and your mouth gapping open in a paroxysm of terror. Oh. Though you can try to tell yourself otherwise, you're still afraid. What's this? You mean this game? Oh, whack his pee-pee? That's if it changes my model. So if I'm in boy mode, yeah, that's for turning off boy mode. You made me disappear for a second. Also build a camera drone disguised as a mosquito and send it in without ever being admitted. Yeah, you could. Free education. Because, yeah, I introduced a new mode. Boy mode. Boy smell. Sniffer. Being with the Gravedigger makes you feel less so, though. Particularly when you're sweeping the floor, keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they don't burn. You tend to most of the domestic chores, while the Gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best, that is digging graves. Her dogged persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you so much that you cannot help but posit a question on one of her particular morning when the sky is festooned with clouds. Yeah, I did post about it on Reddit. And everywhere else. YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, I posted about it everywhere. The new point redeem. You spend my gift sub money on that boy mall, didn't you? Yes, I even told you I was gonna do it. So yeah, thanks for that. Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively. Do you continue to dig graves? There's nobody left after all to dig them for. Actually, our lecturers care so little you can just turn up randomly and the lecturer won't even notice you're not a teacher and teach you anyway. Wowee! I was practical and cannot see the point of it. What's the point, huh? The Gravedigger ponders while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there's any point or really, the Gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. No, it doesn't have any practical purpose, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. Father wanted to keep our family tradition going. I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all, is it? Huh. You think you can understand that? Though your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there's a kernel of reason nestled among them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose. She does it instead out of sentiment. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spend all my days idling all on my own, I think I'd go mad. Gravedigger laughs at this as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you perhaps unkindly of the braying of a horse. You're ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. Can't all be well-bred ladies, you know? Still, The laughter of the gravedigger as it echoes through the gray, gloomy sky is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural. The rictus grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, you cannot. You can't help but pity her. You retreat indoors briefly after you talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of meals, a task that takes slightly longer. Not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She's wind-wept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there's dirt caked beneath her fingernails. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks at the pot suspended over the fire, a fire which you stoked with your own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a homely aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you. A toothy smile which, despite her stats as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Your hands are fair? I guess. I think, judging from the way they word things, it seems like she grew up in, like, a rich household, but with, like, neglectful parents. And they sent her off to some boarding school that she wound up hating because everyone bullied her. But that's just me reading the context clues. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to prepare dinner already prepared. Now let me give it a test. Gravedigger dips a spoon to soup and brings it to her lips. She blows on it. And she places a spoon in her mouth, one utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you have prepared for her? You have cooked for her before in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your efforts. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never concerned yourself with it, really, growing up in relative comfort as you did. You think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did of any of the privileges in your past life. At least now with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you're with her, you're not alone, and that is worth its weight in gold. The gravedigger explains after drawing a spoon from her lips, her smile a bright, guileless one. It's delicious! Well, just the food effects her like the grimace shake. I hope not. Your face flushes at this compliment. You're unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Sally asks the gravedigger if she truly means that, a query which makes the gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it! You've become quite good at cooking, really. That's a relief. You're not very good at all this cooking malarkey in the beginning. Didn't know how to handle a knife or peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. You blended the soup on several occasions. Ew. But never once did you throw this slowly souped out. Double ew. The gravedigger lives in a humble existence. You cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Your soups during your stay have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. Today's soup, however, is a marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife, even once. Yay! No blood soup! Maybe your companion's compliments not empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread, too, that we can eat with it. Oh, I should brew some tea, too. Let me. Ah, yes, the tea. You knew you were forgetting something. So if it was down the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes yet again at this oversight, and shyly you offer to correct it. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's alright. You made the dinner, so I'll brew the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take all that long. Mind serving up the soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. For a lady, you're awfully domestic. But also a lesbian. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it. Soup and bread alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea prepared by your host's own 2 hands. You sit together at the table and partake in this simple fare after saying grace. The soup really is quite good, despite it being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients. There is a bit of a kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing, so much so it makes you feel rather sleepy. You would like to sit with the gravedigger for a little while longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past. That or play cards. The nights are long, and there's no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Games of old maid, alas, will have to wait. Blech. You're too tired for it. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals. You feel utterly fatigued. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns. That was a fake yawn for dramatic effect, and she nods in response. That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me, not if you ain't up to it. You should off the bed and rest that pretty head of yours. You don't think you're particularly pretty, but you assume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. How could she? She's far prettier than you are. Like, stop with the insecurities. Thank the gravedigger for her understanding and rise to the table. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs, then change out of your clothes. Only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door, light and unobtrusive. Tapping, of course, could of course belong to but one person. It's the gravedigger coming to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger says, her voice soft. We rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright. Gravedigger's trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She does sound concerned, so much so she very well be on the brink of tears. You want her to cry for you? You feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even avertedly, given all that she's done for you. You bid the gravedigger entry into your room, therefore, without further delay, an invitation she hastens to take. It's the seduction seat. It's like, I mean, there is a bed right there. Yeah. Door swings inward with a creak, and your hostess stands, still attired in black, her clothes stark contrast to your pure white, off-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braids, and exhales. Is that relief you're wondering? Playing about her face. But why? What was she expecting to see exactly before entering the bedchamber? Here comes the girl-on-girl action. Thanks for letting me in, the gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Off-white! Oh god. I think you need to see a doctor. Not too terrible, you reassure. There's no particular problems to your health. You just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. Nothing out of the norm. You're always pale. True. Anything I do for you? Would you like something warm to drink or maybe a hot brick to place on your bed? Should keep you warm. Appreciate your hostess's thoughtfulness, but you reassure it won't be necessary. You'll be fine. I hope so. I thought about my father too before the gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She did not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know what she was thinking of before she entered the bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, a sweating brow, rank oozing pustules. You think upon these symptoms which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague, which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says, but before that, this is just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, mind if I brush your hair for a little while? Your hair? That's right, it's just a pretty shade of red is all. I just thought, oh, well, it's just a fancy, really. You don't have to let me, not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax feeling the weather. I heard it's supposed to be soothing. This is what the gravedigger says, but you have the distinct feeling that she is the one looking for solace here. She's not quite so selfless, perhaps, she would like you to think. But she's been so very good to you and has done so very much for you that you do not want to begrudge her with this small indulgence. You rather think she deserves it. You agree, therefore, to her request. Upon doing so, you are certain you have made the right choice. Rose's face lights up immediately in a manner which makes you blush. Oh, thank you, be my honor. Now let me finish my brush. The gravedigger retreats to your room in a hurry, but returns soon after, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles herself upon your bed by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expressive pensive. She then announces that she will begin. Gravedigger leans in. One frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melds with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, much so it makes you shiver. And this sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, wonder, when you were a little girl? If she did, it must have been when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled in the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft, just like silk. Not all like mine. Mine's so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscences Sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own because of her voice when she next speaks is dreamy. Yeah, that was a Belgian word. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me back when she was still alive. Must have been a long time ago, though. It's funny you think as the bristles of the brush continue slide through your tresses that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. You both have dead, well, one's dead, the other isn't. Perhaps there's something maternal in the fact of brushing one's hair, which is wont to summoning forth such images. I would not know personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I'm starting to think that the narrator might be like an actual character. But we'll see. Just a theory. I don't think I like having my hair brushed very much, the gravedigger continues, her hair breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck. Mother used to complain that I squirmed too much, I can remember that. Again, theory. She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. Now this is curious. Sounds as though the remnants of the gravediggers are not particularly fond after all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can't rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and cleaning. Oh, looking after my baby brothers. She had time enough, despite that, to brush her hair. She did that when she felt she had to make me look presentable. Not that it really worked. I wasn't like the other girls in the village, you see, who liked to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I always loved the outdoors. All of a sudden, I inherited that from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see it with her back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, well, maidenly. She didn't like that I always trapezed around outside after my father watching as he dug grave. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of princess, wearing a fine dress. The gravedigger snorts. He's gonna be money, yes, and maybe I get burns in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. Not like I had any hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said, because I'm gay. Still, she hoped she had lots of hopes, my mother. High hopes. Not them. High hopes. I think she might have resented my father maybe for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and... Oh, I don't know, she always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. Was it illegal narcotics? No, she just... Like, she was doing a pig impression. Oink, oink. The fairness of your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will either, because she's fucking dead. Her cold inert body has been lying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone for over a decade. No way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought out condolences can cause more harm than good. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that of course your father loved you, really? If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Oh. Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about his finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend his only daughter did not exist. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. Though she was nominally an adult, she always cleaved before your father's judgment. You think she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would have not given birth to her. Instead, you sit there letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Well, the gravedigger says after pause, and I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. Yes, it is very sad. It's like, yeah, you're totally dead. Like, what is this, the Sixth Sense? You guess so. Parents are only people after all. While one could hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. Just because one has brought a child to this world does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. It's a painful subject. Oh, well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He's always there for me no matter what. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. She winces. At least until he wasn't. He died. And I didn't do a thing to help him. Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It's all-consuming like the waters of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This you have no qualm with telling her. You turn to face her, and pluck the brush which had been hovering in the air from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I keep racking my head over and over trying to come up with something. I can't think of anything. If I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried, and I buried him, and now I'm all alone. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How could she be when you're there? I know that, I know, and I'm grateful, and I don't know if I deserve it. It's like, what? Stop being insecure. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. But I didn't do nothing for nobody. I was looked out for me when I was a little girl, but then most I failed them. I failed everyone. All the villagers, all my friends, all died. When I do if the same thing happened to you, I don't think I could bear it. I want you getting sick too, not when I care about you so much. Like I used to be on my own, but now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worried so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Your companion's voice catches on your throat. And she collapses in on herself. She leans forward, her arms wound in her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries and cries and cries. Everyone deserves love except for creepy, grave-digging yandere. Patience. For a few moments, you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tails, seemed to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seemed too slender to bear the cumulative weight of all the sorrows she's endured, are shaking. Her fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog which rolls amongst the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however, you cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too weary to think of some pretty sophums. But there is something you can think of. It would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw caution to the wind. And that and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. You open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to your chest. Oh. Soft exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground. Then there is nothing. The gravedigger is sticking in your arms for a few moments, like the corpses she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She's all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her cheeks. You worry briefly as you told her that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempts at controlling her too clumsy? You would not know. You have never been in a situation like this before. You never consoled any friends before because you have never had any friends to console. Is that so now, however? You're as far away from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue cradled in your arms. I'm very sorry to do you something so embarrassing. It just gets so lonely sometimes. Yes, big hug. Hugs, not drugs. Until long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run your hands against your sobbing companion's shoulder blades and her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. I will say, as I'm reading these stories, it's like I have picked up on the writer's literary style. And it's like, it's one of those things where you notice certain phrases or words or things like that sort of repeat themselves, like the many, many part. Just it's one of those things where, you know, when you're reading something, you kind of just pick up on it, like, oh, you've said this before. But it is one of those stylistic choices. The kind of thing Misei would really like, yeah, of course, because it's got huggings in it. It's a bit purple? Yeah, it's purple. No further words passed between you that night, but they don't need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. The unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance, is all but assured. You've already accepted the gravedigger, after all, every single inch of her. Ha 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 ha. Wink, wink. You have accepted her hospitality, you have accepted her food. Now you're accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. Gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There's no concept of time between the two of you, no thought of the day which will dawn once the night inevitably ends. That there's only the warmth shared between you and the wetness on the cheeks of the gravedigger. There is the sound, irregular now, less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There is this gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy as though weighed down with stones. They droop inexorably downwards, pulling you like a drowning maiden into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn, and you fall asleep. Cozied up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a blanket. Aw. You sleep and sleep and sleep more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. When you awake, you find that you're no longer in the bed upon which you sleep and shrouded by sheets. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Instead, you're quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. You blink, but your surroundings, too, do not become any clearer. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you were roused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself or shake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late, and the smallest bit of noise is enough to disturb you. Does not sound quite right, though. You slept well. Of that you're certain. Your body feels invigorated as though it slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what she did, Cosmic. You do not know. You do not know much of anything. Feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It appears as though somebody, who else would have been save the gravedigger, changed your tire while you were sleeping. It's a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It's so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold, too, and you're lying upon something hard. Some sort of a stone slab? What's going on? Reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. There's something heavy lying on top of you, something that's limiting your movements. You were anxious before upon awaking, but at this discovery you feel downright aggravated. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations even worse. This is some messed up way to prevent you from suffering a slow death from the plague, is it? Probably. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best you can, though it is coming on thick and fast and trying to squirm. You move your arms outwards, but they do not get very far. There's a wall above you and walls on either side of you. Walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You've never had much in the way of upper body strength or lower body strength. You don't have much in the way of strength at all. You're quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what you could do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You don't know where you are, nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down you, one which initially you tried to discard. You don't want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? Sure is taking us a while to realize that, yeah, we're being buried. Hello. You're lying in a box then with walls with only a scant few inches of you in either direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it, the irregular sound of drumming. So somebody, though, they must be... very large somebody is tapping their fingers on the lid of your coffin. That or it's raining. Not the fingers of a gigantus, though, which is disturbing you. Nor is it falling rain. It's dirt. The sound continues on and on as though it's drilling its way inside your skull. It's relentless. It's merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Your time is almost running out. You already, don't you, when you were running through the forest? I'd have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up to you. Yeah, pal, just like bust on out. You're stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, a girl of whom you've been living with and whom you shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the grave digger. Surely this is some manner of mistake. Once you realize that you are, in fact, entombed in one of the coffins she is currently filling, or else will be moving in the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She'll pull you out of the darkness, back into the world of the living, and then she'll hold you close. She'll embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Why would she bury you? You cry out so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. You're awake then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. She sighs. Then she says in a prolix sort of voice, now that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm gonna feel bad. Your companion's words, so distant, are unmistakable. You're so tense, you're attuned to every single syllable, and each one of them makes you gasp. Yeah, it's like, I don't want a companion anymore. Yeah, they stinky. Was it not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You posit this question to the gravedigger as best as you can, trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think in your optimism that if you do not let her know how afraid you are, she'll reward you from your bravery and let you go. This is what you're hoping, though. It's in vain. That's right, you really do catch on quick. It appears she really has committed to the task of burying you. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why then would she do such a thing? You thought she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still whirring offhand, whirringly empty. I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you. I've had a really good time with you this last, how long's it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail has slipped both your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you said to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? You do not understand. But you understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger says in a reasonable sort of voice, as though burying someone alive could ever be thought of as a reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see, it's too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but I've not had anybody to put them in. Not for ages, it was rather sad. I think you know where this train of logic, twisted though it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come from it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find another person to bury in this godforsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate, not till you came along, that is. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not gonna let the opportunity pass me by. Oh, domo, Lord Gator. Oh. Yes, welcome. You were the one that got the birds. Okay. Yeah. Like, just in time to watch us be buried alive. It's like, we went to this village, we met this gravedigger girl, she's the only one left after everyone got wiped out by a plague, and now she's gone crazy. I'm sorry, but this is just part of my job. What my father taught me to do, it's all I know how to do. Who hasn't been buried once or twice? It's like, can't relate. I buried my mother and I buried my father. I buried all of my friends. Now I'm going to bury you too. It is sound logic in a sense. As the daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is her job, but something about it rankles you. If only you could put your finger on it. Ah, yes. Bit of a flaw in her reasoning, is there not? You're not dead after all. Might not be dead now, the gravedigger says in response to your ingenuity, but you will be if given enough time. I mean, everyone's died. Who's to say you wouldn't be next? Seems rather more likely you will die quickly if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. Domo Callie, welcome, yes. Like today we're being buried alive. Before in another route, we died by drowning. So, you know, quite an unfortunate turn of events. Thought every monster hunter would be buried by villains at some point. Eventually. But not now. Your coffin is not rather large. It affords you precious little space. Eventually, if trapped within for long enough, you run out of oxygen, then you'll suffocate. That or you'll starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow, painful one. You are unsure which death would be worse, though given how precarious your situation is, you don't wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger and quickly while she's still there. You tell her tearfully that you would not leave her. Why would you? That sounds as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler. They never stay put in one place for long. You get sick of me before long, then you'd leave me. Yes, the Pink King. Yeah, drowning is just being buried underwater. That is true. This way, at least, I can be assured we'll always stay together. Like, is there a green in there? It looks orange to me, but I don't know. Pikachu looks orange. Like, I may not be in a position to appreciate the apt comparison. No. If I bury you like I did with the others, we'll never be far apart. We took care to put you in a nice spot close to my home, so you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't that nice? Do I usually stream visual novels? Sometimes. It depends on whatever I can get my hands on, honestly. I mean, visual novels are pretty low effort. Except for my throat, because I have to do a lot of reading. And it's like pretty much all the yandere games I downloaded were visual novels, so it kind of just so happened to work out that way. Yeah, I try to stream a variety of games. It's like, you know, I played Evoland for a while, and, you know, I've played card games, horror games, silly games. I play whatever I can. Anime games. Whether you think the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice for to you. You don't say this, however. You can't say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It's choking you, stopping your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and plead, but it does little good. Gravedigger's already buried her mother. She already buried her little brothers. She even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks by burying you, she's doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that she's going to kill you. In a sense, you're both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed in this matter, however, you will never find any common ground. Usually read with my eyes rather than my throat. Well, I'm glad you like the Evo streams. Yes, I do also stream Genshin, so probably when the new Genshin update's all ready to go with the new area or whatever, I'm probably gonna stream that. We'll see. But yeah, Cosmic comes to like every stream. So you get the VIP. You might as well save your screaming. She will not listen to you. She's beyond listening. Shush, shush, little one, says the gravedigger very gently. Just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all of her fears. Won't be so bad, really. Nothing'll be able to hurt you down there. It'll just like going to sleep for a really, really long time. Yes, I do like the Genshins and the Impacts. I also like the Honkais and the Star Rails, so you know, I'll get to it. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers on your grave. You like that, wouldn't you? That way we can always be together. I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, and your head conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You hear anything despite the sound of the dirt and the scrapings of the shovel and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream and scream without cease till your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with such strength that you can muster, but the lid is nailed shut. You're in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roof of the coffin over and over as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you and you can no longer hear her. You're all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the back of your nostrils while you inhale. It's so potent you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual, inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here underground forever and ever. Your knees are weak and your arms are heavy, Mom Spaghetti. Exactly. Or to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go. Well, you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow. In your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Once again, we are given this choice. Very well then. Enjoy your eternal slumber. So it's a good night for now, but not goodbye. You cannot escape me, even if you're buried deep beneath the earth. When there's a will, there's a way. If the whole world has forsaken you, I never will. I will never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Well, that's that ending, and then there's this one. Yeah, it's like basically choosing to accept it as the bad ending and fighting it continues the story, basically. Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you're rather dear to me than that. Now why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much if you're screaming. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Well, there's only one left. Yeah, it does bring you back to Branting Choice. Yeah, so basically there is one more route, obviously, and that's probably going to take a couple hours. But on top of that, there is also the additional endings, because there's, from what I was looking up in the spoiler-free guide, there's basically like 3 endings. Or something to that extent. So, we're going to come back to this another time. Like, they said the game was 2 to 3 hours, and then it's like, nope. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Let's see who we can raid. Yeah, sure. 2 to 3 hours per branch? I think that might have been what it actually was. Because it was taking me a while to do each branch. You got Eula? Cool, congratulations. Yay! Yeah, so let's go help Honor get affiliate. Yeah, good night, everyone. Be safe out in the woods. Don't go befriending crazy yandere ladies. Yeah, I'll figure out when we can come back to this. Tomorrow we're gonna play Yomawari, because Miss Seneca bought it. Yeah, end of user license agreement, exactly. Yes, good night, everybody. Bye-bye.